for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Now we're not
Sorry about
muted.
that.
Okay.
We were muted for that whole time. That was my bad.
Okay, anyways, we are going to be doing a rankings list for all horror villains here. Starting with this, we're not going to do S tier to F tier. We feel like that's just kind of too basic, but we have it ranked as so. So Absolute Perfection is one shot each. So we'll get into the tally counter a little bit later here, how that will apply to that. We have Almost Flawless, which is 7 sips. Pretty Damn Cool, which is 5. Fairly Basic, which is 3. Kind of Boring is 1. And Straight Up Lame, you roll the dice. And dice is plural, so we both have a dice, and we're going to combine the totals.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we have about 50 villains here that we chose. There's obviously so many out there, and some of them are a little more obscure than others. Some of them, maybe there's some more iconic ones that we didn't think of. But we're kind of trying to cover as much ground as we can within this stream, and also not drink too much.
Yeah.
Because we are doing a drinking game like we went through. And just to clarify, we have this drink counter here, which we will be, increasing as we take sips. And we've determined with our math, you might want to check our math, but we have a 15% peppermint schnapps that we're taking, and we figured out that it was about equivalent to sipping 10 sips of beer, based on the percentage of beer, and so we're just counting it as 10 sips.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Because they're, I think, 1.5 ounce shot glasses. Do your math if you want. We didn't, because...
But we did the math.
Yeah.
And we came up with that number.
Yeah. So
and we think we're right. I have no reason to believe we're wrong.
Yep. If you want to do the math, go for it. If you don't, that's fine. We're not a math channel. Should we get right down to it? What are we drinking?
I'm drinking Budweiser today, going back to the beer after having a long stretch of drinking White Claws.
Yeah. I am drinking this new Smirnoff Peach Lemonade. It's actually pretty damn good. Along with that, I'm drinking Peach Lemonade and Sprite.
Yeah, and you got some White Claw on the side if you want to switch things up.
Oh, yes. And the iced tea White Claws, is that what it's called? Those ones? Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried those yet, so I don't know how they are.
They're not bad. All right, we will get started once Tucker's beer stops foaming.
I know how to pour a beer sometimes-ish. I think it's CheersToFear's glasses.
You can probably make it out a little bit better on... it's not even going to be that great, but...
Once mine's full and
kind
not
of
foamy.
Yeah, it'd probably show up a little better on yours. Where it's not foamy for sure.
Yeah, we'll show it later maybe. Not that it matters, they're not for sale or anything. We can't afford to make merch right now, obviously.
Yeah.
But we hope people tune in and come hang out. If anybody's watching right now and has any questions or just wants to chat throughout the stream, send us some messages in the chat. We love to interact with you guys on these streams, so it makes it a lot more fun when we interact with you guys. And play along with us on the drinking game if you also want to.
Yeah, let us know what you're drinking if you guys are drinking anything.
But, yeah, I guess we can maybe get right into it.
We certainly can. All right. Let us start with the first one we have is Xenomorph. From the Alien franchise.
Yeah. Also, I guess it's worth mentioning, we are ranking these based on our own personal opinion on them. We're not ranking them on how iconic they are or, you know, how powerful they are as villains or anything like that. We're just solely basing it on what our overall thoughts on this villain is, and, you know, if we think that it's almost perfect, like we said, or actually perfect, there's no flaws, or we just think that it's kind of boring, whatever. It's all based on our own opinion, and we might disagree a lot, so we'll figure that out as it goes. But anyways, Xenomorph for Alien.
Okay. Do we want to rotate and, like, I'll say my opinion for the first one, you say
Sure.
your opinion for the second one? I feel like that's going to be easier.
Yep.
So anyways, I'll start with my opinion. I'd say it's pretty damn cool. Obviously, the design is pretty sweet. I like the little bitey thing in the back of the mouth, the exoskeleton, the fact that its main objective is to pretty much destroy all other life forms.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really like the concept. I think it's pretty damn cool.
Pretty damn cool. I was going to say almost flawless.
Okay.
But I'm also torn between the two. So I think I'm not mad putting it at pretty damn cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
This one I'm not too heartbroken if we move it down to pretty damn cool. So I think I'm going to give you pretty damn cool on this one.
Okay, sounds good.
But I do think it's almost flawless just because of how unique it is, first of all.
That is true.
You know, like, there's so many slashers. It's been done like crazy. But this is just something new and different in that regard. But also...
So it's going...
Oh, sorry.
Pretty damn
down
cool.
one. Yeah, pretty damn cool. That was my bad.
All good. And that means...
5 sips.
5 sips. Alrighty.
I also didn't have my beer cooling off enough. For long enough, I mean. So it's not
it's
that
warm
cold.
beer.
It's not warm, but it's it's just cool. It's not cold. Anyways, starting off with 5. Now, let's move on to Valak. From The Conjuring, from The Nun, from what else? I think that's it.
That's it.
The Conjuring and
The
The
Conjuring,
Nun.
The
Conjuring
Nun.
2 and The Nun.
Annabelle 2 Creation.
I guess, yeah.
It makes a cameo.
Anyways, for me, Valak is kind of neat, but it's pretty damn basic. So I want to put in fairly basic. I think she's used decently well, and the fact that she got a movie based around her it gives her a bump for me as a villain. I think fairly basic though, because there's not that much unique to go with her.
I was thinking the exact same thing, and this is probably going to be a pattern in the list because obviously we're James Wan fans. He follows a lot of the same stereotypes. It's basically woman doing creepy thing is a lot of his stereotypes, or puppets. Combination.
Yeah. Woman
It's
in
either-
dress.
No, like just think of like a female like specific like occupation, like a bride. If you
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
I guess stereotype like bride or nun, and just like make it evil.
Yeah. Oh, we got everything horror tuning in. What's up, guys? Hey, man. Glad to see you here.
Nice to see you here. Hector.
We're just hanging out. We're enjoying some drinks as we normally do on these.
We'll enjoy 3 right now.
Oh yeah, true. 3. I'll add that to the counter. Alrighty. So, yeah, fairly basic for Valak, aka the Nun. Toby, as a villain from Paranormal Activity. What do you think of this?
Straight up lame.
Yep, I gotta agree with you.
Okay. I thought you'd make a little bit of an argument for like boring or like
No,
basic, but
straight
okay,
up lame. You don't get to see them as a villain. Like, I get why they did it for Paranormal
for
Activity.
the movie, but like giving it like a backstory, barely showing anything.
There's not much of a backstory. There
They
is as the
could've-
franchise goes on, I guess. But
I hate. Okay, so here's my opinion. You know how much I like the 7th Paranormal Activity,
Yeah, next
even
to
like
Kim.
non-ironically, like that one,
yeah,
that creature, whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
had a better backstory than Toby in one movie.
Well, that's true. And like I said, I understand why they did it the way they did it for Paranormal Activity, especially the first one. We didn't need to know much about it for it to be effective. But again, as a villain, like, that's not why you watch it. You don't care who the villain is. You just care what's going on, right?
It's generally like a teen marketing schlock for jump scares.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, the most he does is like, pot fell off the wall.
Yeah.
It's pretty spooky there, Toby.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could have made an argument for kind of boring because basically does nothing, but I think straight up lame because, we just don't know anything about it, really.
Yep. Okay.
So let's see. We got to roll the dice, and we're pairing up two dice and combining it, and that's what we're both gonna take. So 3 for me.
3, 5,
so
8.
8. We're taking 8 sips for that
Double,
one.
so 16. Okay.
All right. And everything horror just by the name. Yeah,
It's a
that's
pretty-
true.
yeah.
Toby's a pretty lame name for a villain.
We think of all these things like Xenomorph, Valak.
Yeah, they got
Toby.
cool names. A lot of the times they do.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're trying too hard, too, with the names. So you can make that argument sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to a classic one. Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter... Fuck, I love Hannibal Lecter so much as a villain.
Oh yeah, I guess it's
He's
yours.
he's just like such an intellectual. He's so smart, and like I don't know, all the movies he's in I love pretty much. I'm torn between two: absolute perfection or almost flawless. I kind of want to put him in absolute perfection. Not gonna lie.
I'll give you the bump for that. I was thinking almost flawless, but I was a little bit torn between the two. But yeah, he's very unique. He's not the average psychopath that just like kills people for fun, or
like obviously
or like
he's just
relies on brute strength. He relies on like his brain.
Yeah, like obviously he's a human, but that doesn't mean he's a. You know, you don't have to be out of this otherworldly or anything to be a good villain. So
Definitely.
some of the humans that are on this list, obviously I'm gonna rank in other sections, but I think him as a human villain, he's one of the best in my eyes.
Oh yeah. He has a lot more depth to him as opposed to just being killer that kills people. I mean, obviously there's going to be that one's mine.
Why?
Spread of COVID.
Did you drink out of it?
No, it has peach schnapps in it or
Oh.
peach. That
I mean, we
peach
haven't
Smirnoff.
drank out of them yet,
You're
so
not wrong. Okay.
doesn't make a difference. Anyways, if you didn't catch it in the beginning, we're counting shots as 10 sips because we did the math and that's what it came out to. It's 15% liquor. It's based on alcohol percentage. That's what we did.
Yeah. Literally like drinking Listerine. It's so smooth.
Oh, it's pretty damn nice. Alrighty. So let's bump that up. 26.
And if we keep going at this rate, it's not going to be fun.
Oh, we're doing fine.
Ah.
Chris coming into the chat. Chris Redicky. She was the original high IQ serial killer. Without him, we wouldn't have Seven or Dexter. Do you mean he was the original high IQ serial killer? And you're not wrong. And that's partially why I love him so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Super iconic.
It inspired a lot of things, such as Seven or Dexter, and
Yeah.
What was that other movie we reviewed recently?
Frailty?
Frailty. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Seven inspired Frailty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar tone too.
Yeah.
But everything. Well, we didn't put that video out. We actually decided to push that video back until next week, just because it's been a crazy week.
It's been a busy week.
Today, this live stream is the video for today, I guess. But yeah, it's coming out next week, next Friday for Frailty.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot more unheard of, especially with big names such as like Bill Paxton.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it wasn't on our radar at least. Maybe it's not that hidden of a gem,
Yeah.
but for us it was.
For us it was.
And Everything Horror says even Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal.
Oh yes.
For Hannibal Lecter.
For Hannibal, the TV series.
Yeah.
I watched, I think, the first season of it. I watched Red Dragon and obviously, what's the original? Silence of the Lambs. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. That's the ones I've watched, and yeah, I've loved all of them.
Yeah. For me, I was mostly basing it off of the the original.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everything horror says, even the series portrayal is good. Alrighty. Moving on, we got a non-human here, Chucky. And let you go first for this one.
We might disagree a little bit.
I think we probably will.
I'm gonna say he's fairly basic.
Fairly basic.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking pretty damn cool because first of his kind of thing. Before him, there wasn't a whole lot of dolls as much.
That's fair.
And so he was kind of the first one to do it. And also, I think the best possessed doll, or whatever you want to call it, in my eyes. That's why I think pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
I get why you say fairly basic, though, because, dolls are just kind of overdone at this point.
Well, he doesn't look intimidating. That's one of the things.
That's part of it why I think is cool, though.
He doesn't look intimidating, along with the fact that, it's literally just a doll. Like, you could just throw it in a fireplace and it dies.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, that happens, and it takes more than that to kill him.
But still.
Yeah. So, I get your argument.
Then again, your Chucky knowledge is a lot better than mine. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt based on that.
Okay.
I've watched the original and the remake with Mark Hamill.
If we're basing it off the remake, I think fairly basic, because I don't like the remake look of him, at least.
Yeah.
But
the remake, I feel I can't really talk. I've seen one movie, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I just I'm a big fan of Child's Play, to be honest. But yeah, I guess pretty damn cool is what we're settling on. So, let's up that counter by 5 drinks. 31. And based on our typical scale that we use, we should be done 1 can. Granted, we did take a shot, which accounts for 10.
Oh yeah,
so
I was like, I'm just gonna finish this drink then. So I'm ahead.
A little bit ahead.
I kind of forgot about
That's
that
fine.
a little bit.
That's fine. Yeah, Chucky, pretty damn cool.
Yeah. So this is your opinion on this next one, Sam.
So yeah, Sam. Sam's pretty unique as a villain. Obviously, I guess you call him a kid. He's not human. He's got a pumpkin head. But I consider him a kid. And as far as him as a villain goes, he's super iconic. I love Trick or Treat. I think it's such a fun movie to watch, especially during Halloween. It just bleeds that Halloween spirit. As far as him as a villain goes, I want to put him in pretty damn cool.
I was gonna say fairly basic.
Fairly basic?
And here's my logic. I don't think he's as cool as Chucky.
Okay.
So I knocked him a point for that.
So yeah, based
to be
on
fair, it's puppet, tiny. I hate tiny children because it's just not as cool. I wouldn't say not as cool. It's not as intimidating.
Threatening?
Yeah, that's the word for it. Less threatening. I'm just trying to think if there's any other argument.
I mean,
I
wouldn't be mad if we put him in fairly basic. Because I do agree with you that I like Chucky more.
I'll put him
for that reason alone, when you say that, I get why we would put him in fairly basic.
I mean, the more I talk about it, I'm leaning to pretty damn cool.
That's where I want to put him. So
no, we'll put him there.
Okay.
I was just kind of thinking of his character, how little kiddish he is.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of part of the charm to him as a character. He's cute throughout the movie, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, for him to be that villain, it makes you want to just go up to him and pinch his cheeks.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's unique. That's the main thing. So yeah, pretty damn cool. Gotta take a couple more for that.
So we're ahead of the 30 sip per can scale of it. I think I've also been pouring my drinks a little bit taller than usual. I mean, I can compare it to your can here whenever you're done pouring it.
Yeah, that typically is how it is. I guess while I pour this, we can bring up the next villain, and you start with this one, the Bride in Black from Insidious.
So this might be a little bit biased because I'm a big Insidious fan.
I mean, so am I.
Yeah.
I am a huge Insidious fan.
Mhm.
Like, it's one of my favorite modern horror movies.
Yeah. And I feel like this low-key started the trend for like scary women in James Wan films aside from Mary Shaw, but this one was a lot more mainstream than Dead Silence. But I think she's pretty damn cool. Especially we got like a little bit of a backstory as like finding out that it's actually a man.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
just the whole look. I mean, she does look goofy in some of the movies. For the main fact, when you see her strangling somebody, doesn't really have that veil. This looks a lot more elegant than when she's actually just trying to strangle people.
Yeah.
But I would say pretty damn cool. Then again, I'm not gonna argue too much if it's somewhere else. What are you thinking?
I'm honestly, as much of a fan as I am of Insidious, I think the Bride in Black as a villain is kind of boring.
Okay.
And I think it might be the same look as you with Chucky as kind of dolls.
Yeah.
It's overdone. At this point, you do make a good point how this is maybe the first iteration in terms of modern horror of, you know, James Wan's tropes. But for me, it's not enough to move it. You said pretty damn cool, so I said kind of boring. I guess we landed fairly basic.
Okay.
And yeah, I think, like I said, it's just because it's been done.
I like how it's lining up with the exact same category as The Nun.
Yeah, another James Wan villain, and that I guess it lines up. It checks out. It makes
All the
sense.
spooky James Wan. That's basically the spooky James Wan
women that we have.
fairly basic for fairly female.
Event Horizon checking in saying, who's in the lowest tier? I'm having trouble recognizing him. That's fair. It's Toby from Paranormal Activity. There's not much to see in that image because it's just a shadow.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll
zoom in really quick, but it's just like Katie and Chrissy. Is that their names? Chrissy?
Yeah,
in their room anyways.
Sleeping, there's a shadow figure there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we figured it was kind of just lame because, you know, we don't get much of a story for him. We don't get to see him. We don't get anything from Toby. So that's what we got for Toby.
Okay. We'll do 3 sips here.
Yep. I'll add that to the tally. Was that 36? I didn't see.
It was 36, yeah.
Okay. I took my sips from my can because I couldn't pour it all in at the time.
Oh yeah, maybe I do pour it out. Okay.
Okay. Moving on. We just looked at The Bride in Black. So, moving on, another classic horror movie. The Werewolf from An American Werewolf in London.
This is gonna be all you because I have not seen enough of this.
Yeah, fair enough. I do like werewolves in the horror genre have been done to death. Even outside of the horror genre at this point, there's so many werewolves. Like Twilight, for example. But considering this villain alone, I think this just how iconic this villain is in the horror genre, and the transformation scene alone in this movie is enough for me to just fall in love with it. That being said, there's not much going on. It's just a person transforming to a werewolf. So I think it's fairly basic. I don't want to put it in kind of boring just because of how, like, this was a pioneer in terms of werewolves, and that gives it a bump for me in my opinion on it. So, are you content with fairly basic?
I'm content.
Okay.
I mean, I'd consider putting it out elsewhere for the main fact that it's not a James Wan creature that just looks so similar. Like, even just comparing the two pictures there, like, man. So similar.
Yeah, true.
Anyways.
But yeah, fairly basic. Another one with 3 drinks.
Okay. And we can add that to 42.
All right. Now we got The Thing from obviously The Thing.
Okay.
This is a unique villain.
I think you might be beside me on this, but I'm thinking absolute perfection.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolute perfection.
It is one of the, I'd say, top-rated horror movies of all time. Almost, I wouldn't say unanimously at all, but like, it's up there for a lot of people's lists.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just such an iconic movie,
Mm-hmm.
and the villain's so unique because it's not really a specific thing. It's
a shapeshifter.
Yeah,
that
it's a
can
shapeshifter,
morph in.
extraterrestrial kind of.
And the design for the entire concept of the movie makes perfect
The
sense.
special effects too.
The special effects.
They're so effective. Even like for the time period that this came out, it was way ahead of its time.
Like, what's the best way of saying it? They don't feel outdated.
No,
and
no.
Like
even today's
20,
standards.
30 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
40 years on. No. 40? Yeah, almost 40 years at this point. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah.
But we're taking a shot.
Oh, I was about to take a sip.
So I'll just add
You can add
10.
10.
Yeah, that's what we determined it was at. So 52 we're at.
Oh, poor.
Shots are a little bit nicer just because you don't get so bloated. Like, they're not nicer because there's more alcohol involved.
Depends
Depends
what
how
you're
you look at it.
drinking as well.
That yeah.
We're not doing like straight vodka or anything, so that's
No, we're doing peppermint schnapps, so it's actually the nicest thing we've ever done. We've ever shot on
Mhm.
stream. Very tasty. Even though it's like, I feel like I shouldn't swallow it. I should just swish.
It's minty.
Listerine.
All
You're
right.
not supposed to swallow those. I wonder if you get drunk off them. Yeah, you do.
Nah, people have bought it before at
People
supers-
definitely-
at supermarkets.
We see it all the time in our city. People
Yeah.
drinking Listerine to get drunk.
Okay.
All right, where are we? We did the thing. So
Samara
Samara Morgan. And this is obviously the North American iteration. It's just the one we ended up
Yep.
landing on.
For like remakes, things like that, we generally combine them all. So, for instance,
Yeah.
for Chucky, we also took into consideration like the Mark Hamill one a little bit.
Yeah, and this one we're gonna consider like Sadako from Ringu.
Yeah.
As well. So the image we got here is just Samara Morgan. So that's
Mhm.
why we introduced that way. What are your thoughts? Or, I guess
this one you can go first.
Yeah, okay. So I like The Ring, and I like the villain. I like the concept of the movie overall. But the villain in general, like, the concept's unique, but the villain is not. So if I look at Samara just as her alone, I think kind of boring.
I'm going the exact opposite almost.
Yeah?
I'm going almost flawless.
Almost flawless.
And the reason that I think that is, as you said, it's very unique. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really basing it on like the design or anything like that. I'm
Yeah, no,
basing it
that's
on
fair.
like the whole curse of dying in 7 days,
Yeah.
coming out of the TV, teleporting, like somehow always finding a way to kill you. Like, basically you're destined to die unless you pass the curse on.
Mm-hmm.
I like the concept a lot. Obviously, this looks very basic in terms of Japanese folklore, but I feel like the way that The Ring and Sadako or Samara was set up, I really like the concept of that.
Yeah.
So I think almost flawless, but we are torn.
We are torn, and I do completely get it as to why you would put it as almost flawless because of the concept of The Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that The Ring is, like, I love the concept of it. It's super unique. There's not any other movie that's really done it, not any franchise that's done it. So I'm willing to meet you in the middle. Obviously, we're going to meet you in the middle, and Pretty Damn Cool are fairly basic, but because of how unique The Ring is, I'm willing to give you Pretty Damn Cool.
Okay.
If you're cool with that.
I am pretty damn cool with that. I'll have to give you the next one, I guess. Then
We'll see what
Yeah.
it is.
5 sips.
Yep. I almost took 7 because I saw the 7 on our 57.
Mm.
We got Brianna coming in saying, "Hey, how's it going?" It's going very well.
It's-
Even better as more people join us and we get some more drinks in us.
Mm.
Cheers.
But yeah, no, it's going great. So far, you missed, I'd say, some pretty decent ones like Hannibal Lecter, The Thing, some of our favorites. But
Almost
yeah,
perfection, yeah.
it's going good so far, though.
We've both wanted to put at least one in almost flawless, but the other ones weighed us down a bit.
Mhm.
Whether it was me with Xenomorph wanted to put it in almost flawless, or you with Samara putting her in almost flawless, we weighed each other down there. So let's move on to another intellectual,
Okay.
John Kramer.
John
Event
Kramer.
Horizon saying he's cheersing us back. We got to take a sip for that.
Okay.
I guess we'll add it to the drink counter for it too. Cheers, now I'm done with my game and can engage more. That's awesome.
Sounds good.
We love to interact with you guys. And then Brianna, who's in the lame tier? Very good question. Event Horizon answered for you.
Yeah.
Is Toby.
He did ask the exact same question.
Yeah,
so,
and I knew that was going to happen, and I was going to put labels on the bottom as I typically do,
Yeah.
but I never got around to it, so we were just ready to answer that question.
Yeah.
Straight up lame is Toby. And yeah, she says, makes sense. Yeah, glad you agree. Everyone's agreed with that
Perfect.
so far.
John Kramer, I'll put my opinion in first for
Go
this
for
one.
it.
John Kramer, I think, is almost flawless. Intellectual, has a very unique way, especially in a form of marketing and wanting to
'cause
make money.
Yeah.
In the form of having his own ideology, making traps, being
Yeah.
dead set on his ideals, morals, everything like that.
He doesn't,
He's a sociopath but has rules. It's super
Yeah.
intriguing, I'd say.
he never directly does the murders and stuff,
I-
as we know.
I would argue that he does, but...
Well, yeah, he sets it up for murder, but his whole
Yeah.
philosophy thing, and I do agree completely, almost flawless. He's another intellectual horror villain, which I do love to see, honestly, which is why Hannibal Lecter's almost absolute perfection.
Mhm.
But I do rank Hannibal Lecter above John Kramer in that regard, and yeah. So I gotta give John Kramer a little bit of a bump down
in comparison, Hannibal
in
Lecter.
comparison,
Okay.
yeah. But I do agree he's pretty damn close to perfect, so almost flawless.
7 sips.
Event Horizon. I don't like how he picks most of the victims. Otherwise, I would go with absolute perfection. And that's a perfect argument to why he's almost flawless,
Yeah.
but not quite flawless.
He definitely has, as you said, a few flaws,
Yeah.
such as the way, like, oh, you smoke, so you're
Yeah.
you're basically doomed to die.
Exactly. And I didn't actually think about that when I was ranking him, but that is a perfect
Yeah.
reason why he's not perfect.
Oh, definitely.
Perfect reason he's not perfect.
Mhm.
All right. Who are we moving on to now? Sweeney Todd.
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Yep. So, my opinion on Sweeney Todd is very limited. I've seen the movie once because my fiance really likes this movie and almost forced me to watch it.
Reasonably so. It's a great movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't talk too much on it, to be honest, so I'm going to leave this one up to you.
Oh, man. Like, I've watched this movie, I'd say, at least 5-6 times. I'm a big fan. Johnny
Mhm.
Depp put on an amazing performance.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna say pretty damn cool.
pretty damn cool.
Obviously, the fact that the whole movie's a musical, I can't say fairly basic just because of how unique it is.
Oh,
He has
no,
a good
yeah,
backstory.
nothing against musicals
Yeah.
at all. I like musicals.
Mhm. He kills very specific people. It's middle-aged men, and a lot of them don't have families, so it's
Yeah.
like, who will really care? And he's out for vengeance, pretty much.
I am not mad putting him at pretty
Mhm.
damn cool.
He's an interesting character, for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we'll take 5. Alrighty. Moving on to the creature from the Black Lagoon. Obviously from the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay.
A very classic horror villain. Formative for the genre. One of the Universal horror monsters. What do you think of this one?
Okay, what I think of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, I can't really say a lot because I don't think I've ever actually seen a Black Lagoon movie.
Okay.
Design-wise, I can say it's great.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
So I've only seen the original, the very first one. I've never seen any of the sequels or even the ones you could consider remakes. I think a lot of people consider, what is it, The Shape of Water?
I have seen The Shape of Water.
Is that considered kind of a remake of it?
I think a little bit.
But either way, I think we should base it off the classic one, just because we're unsure of the
Yeah.
remake.
Shape of Water, if you want my summary real quick, there's way too much sex for a fish monster in the movie. I was not disappointed, but a little... yeah. Either way, I wasn't expecting that much fish sex in the movie.
That's fair. For me, I don't want to put this one... Like, it's somewhere in the middle for me. I want to put it in pretty damn cool because I don't think it's basic. I think it's unique.
Yeah.
We don't see a ton of aquatic creatures. If we do, it's a shark or even like the Kraken or something along those lines. We don't see a very unique aquatic creature like this. So I think it's pretty damn cool, personally.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The only reason I'm not fine with it is because that pretty damn cool category is getting pretty full.
And I knew it would be. Like, most villains are going to fall in there, I think. Like, unless, except for some of the very, very iconic ones. Probably. But, yeah, we'll cross that bridge if it fills up.
Once we get to it, probably at this rate.
We got Brianna saying, Sweeney Todd is so good.
Yes, I completely agree. You looked at me for a second for approval.
Yeah, because I haven't.
You've seen.
I haven't dialed in completely to watch.
No, I love Sweeney Todd. It feels like a Harry Potter reunion with so many people: Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, the guy that plays you know who I'm talking about, Wormtail. I couldn't remember his name off the top of my head, but.
Yeah. Event Horizon, I've never watched it. I didn't like the trailer. Original is way better in my opinion. I think he's referring to Shape of Water versus the original.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I feel, but I also don't know because I haven't seen the Shape of Water. And then he asks Event Horizon asks, how many villains did you guys prepare for this? It's about 50.
Give or take 50.
It might be plus or minus 5.
Yeah.
I think it might be 46 or somewhere around there. We didn't count exactly, but it's somewhere around 50. So we got quite a few to get through. But
Another thing about Sweeney Todd, I remembered. Who's the one guy in the movie? Anthony. Anthony's also in that movie and plays Gillard Grindelwald in flashback scenes.
Who's Anthony? Is that the character's name or the actor's name?
No, the character's name.
Okay.
Anthony plays Gillard Grindelwald in, I think, one of the Deathly Hallows Part 1 or Part 2 in flashback scenes, and Johnny Depp goes on to play Gillard Grindelwald. In Fantastic Beasts. So fun little fact.
I will say we got to take our 5 sips for the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yep, before we forget.
And I will add that to the tally. Alrighty. Let's carry on to the Predator. So, the Predator, for me, he looks pretty damn cool. Not gonna lie. Just based on looks alone. Compared to some of these other villains and pretty damn cool, I think he's comparable.
Very comparable. Especially with Alien.
I wouldn't put him almost flawless. I would rank him lower than Xenomorph, 100%.
I would also rank him lower than Xenomorph.
But I can't call him basic.
That's the other thing.
The Predator is not basic. It's unique, especially his design, very unique. And just all of his, powers and characteristics and attributes, I think we got to put him in pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I hate putting so many things in pretty damn cool, but that's the way it goes.
I get it though. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of villains are pretty damn cool, but aren't, they're not almost flawless or perfection. They all have certain things wrong.
If we categorize this a little bit better, maybe there wouldn't be so many things that are pretty damn cool. But you know what? It's fine.
It is
for
what
now.
it is.
Yeah.
We're also compromising. So if we were doing this each on our own, it would be a little different, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're meeting in the middle for
a lot of them.
A good handful of them. So
yeah, actually, I couldn't say a lot of them, but at least 3 we had fairly different opinions for.
But it is what it is. If we need to, we can maybe make some adjustments. It'll just take a few
extra
minutes.
clicks. Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
let's take 5. I said, oh no!
Whoa, what was that? Oh no!
I clicked on the wrong thing and it's going crazy. Oh no! I dropped the mouse out of my hand. Don't you worry.
Okay,
Boom.
we're back in business.
Okay, I owe a few sips. You need one out of there?
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab one.
Alrighty. And I'm gonna say that was not the alcohol that did that. I just bumped the mouse by accident, and it moved all of the windows everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at least happy that we didn't spill. Yeah, it's generally been me, I guess. To be fair, all the shot glasses and everything are on my side.
Yeah,
so.
you are pouring the shots. That's fair.
And I'm also the one. What the heck is that? Oh, that's just the iced tea. That threw me off.
Yeah.
It has like little floaties in it. That threw me off.
That would have thrown me off too. It's kind of gross, but I think that's how twisted teas are too. Maybe not twisted tea.
Not twisted teas.
There's other iced tea beverages that do that, and
Yeah.
it threw me off when I first saw
Well,
it.
if I drink it, I'll die, and
You won't die.
well, if I drink it and something's wrong with it, I'll die, and that's the worst case.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, drinking's killing your liver anyways, so
Moderation is key.
moderate.
I haven't drank yet this month.
I don't think I have either.
We've obviously put out videos, but those we pre-record them. We record them in the future.
Yeah.
Play the games in the past. I mean.
Imagine just editing and like filming and recording a video where basically we're so incoherent that we couldn't like do or say anything that's like salvageable footage.
We would not want to actually play the game before we went and recorded the episodes. That wouldn't be good. It would take us twice as long or even 3 times as long to get through the points we want to talk about. And all that. But anyways, let's carry on. We got... Oh, I still got to take a couple sips here for the bread. Was it the Predator last? Yeah.
Predator, yeah.
Just finish that off. And let's move on to Pumpkinhead. From Pumpkinhead.
That is mine, I believe. Pumpkinhead... I don't remember the movie well enough, to be honest. And I could say in that terms, it's forgettable. But I also kind of dislike the design.
You don't like the design?
Not overly.
I think the design's the only thing it's got going for it.
Okay. I'm thinking fairly basic. I don't know what you're thinking, though.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or another because I've seen the movie once and it was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that he's a decent icon in the horror community.
Oh, very, yeah.
Like, you know, he has his place for sure.
He's a cult classic for sure.
I would absolutely not put him in kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of even feel bad putting him at fairly basic. I almost want a tier in between fairly basic and pretty damn cool, to be honest.
That would probably be best at this point.
But how about we put him in fairly basic for the sole reason that we're filling up in pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
And we don't have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Cool. Sounds good.
So we'll put him in fairly basic. Event Horizon, I don't think I've ever seen that. Yeah, it's not like a mainstream horror movie. It's kind of a cult classic.
It has a cult following for it, for sure.
A lot of, you know, it's when you get deep enough after you get through like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Chucky, you know, Xenomorph, all of that. Once you get through that, then he becomes kind of another horror staple icon type of thing.
Kind
Like,
of
he's
like
not a mainstream
treat in a way. That's
Yes,
the best comparison.
yes, similar. Well, they're both pumpkin heads.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, not super mainstream, kind of a cult icon, I guess. But let's add 3 to the total.
Oh, this is fizzy and it immediately just threw me off.
All right, carrying on. Let's go to Seth Brundle
Oh, from the fly.
from
okay.
The Fly. And I think I'm mostly basing this off of him, not necessarily only in his full form, but I'm not really basing it off of him as just a human. I'm basing it off of when he starts really becoming that mutated fly. That's what I'm basing it off of. And I think it's so fucking cool. I want to put it in almost flawless.
I'll put it in almost flawless just because I was thinking pretty damn cool. I could have made it a reason for each one of them.
Yeah.
I could have made a reason.
What's your reason for pretty damn cool?
My reason for pretty damn cool is obviously the design, like just the transformation in general, like day by day of him, basically his fingernails falling off, all of that. Like it's a top like body horror movie.
Oh yeah.
And kind of boring. You could make the argument that it's Jeff Goldblum acting.
You want to put it in kind of boring?
No.
Okay.
No, like there could be an argument made for it.
I see.
Where it's just Seth Goldblum's acting.
Jeff Goldblum,
Jeff,
not Seth.
Seth Brundle. Huh? Jeff Goldblum's acting can be considered dull, and him saying like or at times. And we made a drinking that game for that. I think back like 2 years ago on Halloween.
On Halloween we watched it. Yeah.
And it's every time Jeff Goldblum says or you took a sip.
It was a lot.
And
to say the least.
It was a lot. But yeah, I'm thinking we can do almost flawless.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. But also,
I don't want to put him on the same level as Jigsaw.
no, not that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put him above Xenomorph.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it only. But
yeah.
since we're compromising, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So 7 sips.
I'd be almost more fine with moving Xenomorph up and moving Seth Brundle down.
Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Event Horizon. How are you still alive? So, the way that I assume you're talking about the amount of sips we've taken so far. Keep in mind those are only sips, and it takes about, based on what we've
30
found
sip per
out,
can
it's
scale.
30 sips per one, just standard 12-ounce can, typical beer can. Some of these have been shots. 2 of them have been shots. So
Which we included with that. So
Yeah.
realistically, we're just under 3 drinks in.
yeah, about 3 cans. Well, I'm on my 3rd can
Yeah.
with a couple shots, so we're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
We're
We're used to it.
Yeah, it's a
We
high
have a bit of a tolerance, I
I was
guess.
gonna say we have a high alcohol tolerance.
But we still got a lot to get through. So we're talking about Xenomorph and the Fly. Seth Brundle from
being
the Fly.
switched. Yeah.
I kind of want to.
Oh, from the sips. To clarify
Oh.
from it. Oh yeah, no, it was not good.
Oh. Yeah.
It was Halloween night, and we just wanted to have like kind of a chill night, so we just did like 3 horror drinking games, Rocky Horror Picture Show,
the Fly.
The Fly and was it
And
like
the host.
Yeah.
Or host, not the host. Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually almost ended up only counting sips.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Because we had 10 rules like we typically do, and we almost just exclusively counted the and that's all we were drinking for.
Yeah.
So
To be fair, it's a lot harder to actually count sips when you're drinking. So
when you're actually doing it, yeah.
So you basically just hear like the or like, and then you just ignore all the other rules just because you're so
Exactly.
accustomed to like counting one.
Yeah. But 83 is also good considering that there's 35 killers left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just misunderstood what you were referring to.
Okay.
Okay, back on topic. Xenomorph and
Switch them.
switch them or
I'm
just
fine,
bump
I'm
him
fine
up?
switching them.
You want to switch?
I'd
them?
be fine switching them, and then we don't have to do
Where
up
did-
drinks.
Where did we? Oh, I guess. I do want Xenomorph higher than the
Yeah.
Fly,
Yeah.
or at least on the same page.
Yeah.
You're not accepting to keep them both up there.
I could keep them both. Just take an extra 2 for Xenomorph. And we have another
You're
spot
down for that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And we have another spot for pretty damn cool. Then we had to.
We'll take 2
look
more
at this.
sips. And that might happen as we get more villains out there, you know.
Yeah.
We might have some switcheroos happening just because we have other ones to compare it to, I guess.
Yeah, that looks a lot better. That looks a lot better with Xenomorph up there. Compared to, he doesn't belong in the same category as
Chucky and Sam.
in my opinion.
I know, I completely agree.
Okay.
I wanted him in almost flawless from
Yeah.
the beginning.
It's just that he started at the beginning. I think if it was like now, when we started to kind of get the flow of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we did Seth Brundle, so let's do the Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man is up next. So you go ahead with the Invisible Man.
Okay. I don't remember.
We can
The
base it off of the modern or the original. I just pulled a picture for the original because there's not much to pull for the new one because he's literally just invisible, not really wearing anything. He's got this magical suit, I'll say.
Yeah.
This one, he kind of has his garments or whatever. Garments.
I don't remember this one, like the original one, a whole lot. But I remember the 2018 fairly recent, obviously, because I've seen it more recently.
Yeah.
At least I'd say it once or twice. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking kind of boring.
Kind of boring. Just an invisible villain. It's
Just
almost
an invisible
it's
villain
almost
that's
like Toby, but it's more unique and
that's
also
fair.
more iconic.
This one is for sure.
Yeah. And I do kind of agree with you because there's not much to him, especially obviously visually.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking too, just because.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine comparison to like Wolfman and Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like I like Invisible Man a lot, especially the movie, the concept. Like I like it a lot, but if you're viewing him as a villain, just straight up, I kind of agree with you. So we will move on to Pazuzu, the Exorcist, Regan, however you say it.
Reagan. Just say it quick.
We're gonna say Pazuzu because that's technically the villain. I don't know. I honestly want to put it in absolute perfection. I love this villain. The way that it's executed is awesome. You know, it's just so iconic. Regan, possessed by Pazuzu, is fantastic. The way it's portrayed, the way it's executed, just the whole idea of it, for me, I think it's absolute perfection.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking almost flawless, but I tried to see it in both perspectives. Yeah, no, I'm fine with absolute perfection.
All right. Absolute perfection it is. Let's pour a shot. Oh, wait. We didn't take our drinks for kind of boring.
We did not take our one sip.
Yeah, one sip, and I need to count that. And then, pour your shot, and I'll read a couple of comments here.
Sounds good.
Event Horizon, I like the remake especially, for Invisible Man he's referring to.
Remake was really good.
I do really like the
was
remake.
that directed by Leigh Whannell?
I don't know. Not gonna lie. I have seen the original, not very recently though, so it's hard for me to compare the two. Like you, it's been.
Have you not seen the remake?
I've seen the remake.
Okay.
That's what I've seen the remake recently.
Okay, yeah.
But not.
Sorry.
Not the.
The original.
The original, not recently. So it's hard for me to compare them, but I do really like the remake too.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I fell asleep twice in the original.
And Jen saying there's not much to the Invisible Man visually. Yes, exactly.
And that's why Toby is an F tier. We're straight up lame.
Yeah. Event Horizon. This girl haunted my dreams when I was little. I was not prepared to see that at the time. Yeah, I think a lot of people were introduced to Regan in her possessed form from Pazuzu, especially from that that jump scare maze when you had to scroll through without touching the walls or whatever, and if you did, then she popped up and jump scared. I think that's where a lot of people were introduced to her without seeing the movie.
Yeah.
But I know The Exorcist traumatized a lot of people in their childhood from just how terrifying it was to see. And Event Horizon calling us out saying we need to take 2 more sips for upgrading the Xenomorph. I know I took those 2 sips.
I could have sworn I did too.
I'm pretty sure we took those because we said we got to take 2 more. Oh, but we didn't count it on the tally. I know for sure I didn't count it on the tally.
I'm just going to take another 2. I'm not going to argue.
I'll take 2 more too, but I'm going to put 2 more on the tally.
Sounds good. That was a voice crack.
I know I didn't count it on the tally. That might be what he's referring to.
Shots.
Oh yeah. Is this one mine here?
Yeah. Did we count those on the tally?
Nope. Alrighty. Where are we? Absolute Perfection, Pazuzu, Pinhead. Pinhead is next. You got to start with this one.
I do have to start down. I really didn't want to. I'm just thinking of the other things I put on. I'm trying to think of the character, backstory, all this. Between Almost Flawless and Absolute Perfection, I think.
That's where I'm at too.
Okay.
But let's see. Let's compare to what we got in these categories. Pinhead compared to Pazuzu, The Thing, Hannibal Lecter. Pinhead versus Xenomorph, The Fly, John Kramer. I kind of want to put him above these 3, not going to lie.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. That's the thing. I want to put him above those 3.
But below the other 3.
But below the
I
other
know.
3. So he's like an Absolute Perfection minus tier.
He's as close to perfection as you can get without...
without having flaws.
Like, you gotta assume we're talking to him as a villain. We're not basing him off of a lot of his movies that he's part of. Because otherwise...
how all the movies, past, 4, just straight to DVD
trash.
Yeah.
But, yeah, him as a villain, he's very unique. There's nothing really like him in any other movies or series or franchise, whatever. I think, yeah, we gotta put him in perfection.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that's another shot.
That's another shot. So another 10. And Jana saying, oh god, I remember that game. As a reformed horror movie wimp, that was definitely my intro to her. And that's what I was saying. I think a lot of people were introduced to her from that. Without even knowing who she was. They just partook in that game.
Oh,
and referring to Pazuzu, or The Exorcist, of course. A lot of people were unwillingly introduced into that.
I don't think I really played the game or was tricked into playing it.
Yeah, but you know about it.
But I've seen compilations of people getting scared off that maze game, for instance.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry. The next one you can introduce.
What are you rolling that dice for? I know why.
Yeah.
It's the Blair Witch from the Blair Witch Project. Obviously, we never see this villain. Hence the reason why I'm saying villain image unavailable, camera shy. Could have done the same thing with Paranormal Activity, to be honest. But we do see shadows of him sometimes.
Yeah, we see him move things.
We see him do stuff.
We see him interact with the outside world, and that's the other thing as well. So, in saying that,
if you're any sort of familiar with us and our channel, you know we're not big fans of the Blair Witch. We respect it, and we respect what it's done for the horror genre as a whole. But yeah, it's got to be on the same tier as Toby from Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
Straight up lame. 4.
1.
We take 5. All right, moving back to an absolute classic.
Freddy Krueger.
So, I guess you start this one.
Okay, Freddy Krueger. First movie I'd say is probably one of my favorites from like the classic horror movie genres. And by the word classic, I mean like franchise movies such as Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously. Can't think of any other. Hellraiser, I guess, is technically one. Let's cheat. Scream. Yeah, so it's one of my favorites. Just everything that you look at on his body is so iconic when you see like the boiled skin, the claw, the ugly sweater, the hat.
Yeah.
On top of that, the way that it's executed in the movie, through dreams, through pretty much imagination or other people's fears, which we'll get to another person on this list probably at some point. I want to put it in absolute perfection.
So do I.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's just I can find. Well, we'll get to it, I guess. But it's hard for me to find flaws with Freddy because he's so unique, like you mentioned, and even this whole series, he's kind of obviously he's evolved and changed over the franchise, and he's kind of became more comedic, and he's not as serious tone as he is in the first one, but at the same time, he's still kind of Freddy Krueger all the way throughout. Even in the first one, he still has his, witty humor involved.
Not
to an extent. Not as much, of course.
Yeah. It's like Evil Dead 1 to 2.
But I think Freddy Krueger, as far as the most iconic horror villains, he's in the top 3 or 4 for sure. Mm-hmm. And he's my favorite personally.
Yeah.
So I gotta agree with you with the shot there. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna add 10 to the counter. We've taken a few shots these last handful of villains.
Thank goodness this is not vodka, otherwise we'd be feeling it a lot.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Venturizon agrees. Freddy is absolute perfection for me. His one-liners, goddamn.
We didn't even talk about a lot of his one-liners or anything like that either.
Well, his one-liners are great. And that's kind of what I mentioned, how he was, as this franchise went on, he was becoming more witty and more,
humorous.
Kind of smart-ass in a way.
Yeah.
But
a little bit of slapstick,
totally.
but...
Exactly. But I do agree. I love that. I love his one-liners.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Yeah. Jana, what I mostly remember from Blair Witch is endless shots of runny noses from way too close up.
Yes.
Yeah, you are not wrong. That happens. And one of the original Nightmare movies where he rips out a kid's muscles and makes him walk off a cliff like a puppet haunted my dreams for a long time. Yeah, that's classic. Alrighty. So, moving on to another child. Damien from The Omen. Damien from The Omen. He's a kid.
Yeah.
He's not that exciting, personally. I think kind of boring. For me.
I was thinking almost flawless, but I'll bet it fit with you. I'm like, so here's my logic on it.
Yeah.
He's not an average kid in comparison
to
who else? We had a few more kids, Sadako and Sam. But obviously we kind of found more middle ground in those. Mm-hmm. But the reason that I think he's almost flawless is just because it's a demon child where he basically has the powers of Satan himself. Mm-hmm. Possessing him to kind of do things such as things that look like their final destination, such as beheading somebody with a sheet of glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the concept behind him a lot.
I mean, yeah, I do too. But, I don't know, for me, I think it kind of plays into my view on, just because the villain kid has been done to death at this point, and I don't know.
But he was the first.
I know, he was. And that gives him a bump. You're not wrong.
Mhm.
So, I'd put him in pretty damn cool, I guess.
I don't want to, but yeah.
I know you want to go in almost flawless.
Well, like, no, the reason I don't want to is because that category is filling up.
Well,
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But yeah.
Based on your points, you do sway me a little bit more. I would give him a bump there.
Sounds good.
So 5 sips. Event Horizon asking for the Nun. Did you talk about the Nun specifically or about Valak? We talked about Valak. We talked about Conjuring 2, obviously the Nun, and even Annabelle Creation.
Yeah, how she made a single appearance in Annabelle Creation.
So we took all of that kind of into consideration. Yeah. Not much special for the Nun, in our eyes at least.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Let's move on to another
Shaw.
James Wan creation that's just
Old woman.
An old woman spooky
Or not
girl.
necessarily an old woman, but
a spooky woman.
yeah.
Uh,
And this was actually the first movie we reviewed on our channel, and I don't recommend you going to watch that because I would like to believe we improved a lot,
yes, we
both
certainly
visually
did.
and just how we go about our videos.
Mhm.
It's a lot more efficient now. That being said, you
Watch
should also go
the
watch
movie. Yeah.
it. Watch the movie, use our drinking rules. The drinking rules are still good, but
Mhm.
yeah.
They're,
The video could have
they
been
may
better.
be a little bit outdated, but yeah.
It's alright. What do you
Still-
think for Mary Shaw? For me, kind of boring. Mary Shaw. I like the concept how she has her puppets and stuff, but her as a villain, I know that's kind of part of her villain. But I almost treat the puppets as villains separate from Mary Shaw. I know she kind of possesses them though, so I don't know.
I'm thinking almost flawless.
Almost no.
Like, okay, so hear me out. The concept of like ripping out somebody's tongue using their voice to communicate with other
Fair
people,
point.
tricking them
Fair point.
into also killing them, adding on, making a cycle. For her to want vengeance against an entire town and silence
Fair.
all those to silence her.
But not flawless.
I
Even that aside, not
I-
flawless.
so almost flawless.
No, not almost flawless. Like,
And I do not
after you bring that point
I
up,
do not feel comfortable at all putting her above the Nun or Valak.
you think she's
especially-
comparable to them?
No, she's on a different level.
Like above them?
Above them.
Yeah, so you do feel comfortable putting her above them then?
I feel very comfortable putting
Yeah,
her
no.
above.
After you
Valak
make
above
that
Nun.
point about, how she
Mhm,
taking
yeah.
the tongue and stuff, tricking people, I would give you pretty damn cool. I'm not giving you almost flawless.
Mhm.
No chance.
Like, if there was a franchise based off of her, there's a very good shot that she
Maybe.
could be an absolute perfection.
Nah, I don't know about that. But I guess the way
But
that
the
Dead
whole
Silence
the whole
plays out.
concept of it is utterly terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's cool. After you bring up the backstory
Mhm.
about her, it sways
Yeah.
me a bit. I didn't take that into consideration as
Mhm.
much. Event Horizon says I'd go pretty damn cool just because she isn't basic in my eyes. Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
I wasn't looking deep enough. I was just looking at surface level.
Yeah.
So I still wouldn't put her in almost flawless though. But
I'd still put her above all the people in Pretty Damn Cool. Just my opinion, but
Yeah, no,
obviously we got to
that-
compromise for sure.
yeah, that's fair. Considering the tier levels, it fits, but the description of fairly basic doesn't fit. Yeah,
Yeah, she is not basic at all.
no, that's
Using
fair.
the puppets, using straight like other people as well, such as Jamie's father. I couldn't think of his name for instance.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I think the movie was more disappointing than Mary Shaw was as a villain. And yeah, I think you make a good point, and that's kind of how I was looking at it in the when I
Mhm.
first give my initial judgment. I think it's her concept as a villain is much better than what Dead Silence is as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I realized where I went wrong, because
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I was basing it off of, was the movie. That plays a part in it for me a little bit, but you're absolutely right. And Robin's coming in. It's pretty cool, but not as iconic as Jigsaw and others in Flawless. And that's how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, to be fair, like maybe I'd put her above Seth Brundle, maybe, but
I personally
not
wouldn't, but
not with Xenomorph and Jigsaw. Like below for sure, but yeah.
so we're counting pretty damn cool.
Yep.
Did I add that to the tally yet?
I don't think so. Go for it.
That was a good conversation about that. And I was glad to be proven wrong there. All right. This one's going to be... This one might be
Interesting.
divisive.
Okay.
Jack Torrance. From, obviously, The Shining.
This is gonna be yours.
This is you. I
It's-
started with Mary Shaw. I
Alright.
wanted to put her in Kind of Boring, remember?
Okay.
And then that changed. Don't worry, guys, that changed.
I'm just trying to think of Jack Torrance for a second. In terms of actual villain,
Yeah.
fairly basic. Am I bad for saying that?
Honestly, I was thinking along the same lines. I thought it was going to be more divisive. Obviously, Jack Torrance and The Shining is extremely iconic.
The movie
one of the
itself.
most iconic
Yeah.
villains and movies in the horror genre.
Yeah.
And
Movies
most
for sure.
transformative in the horror genre.
But as a villain,
as a villain at
it's
surface
just-
level, look at Jack Torrance. He's just a madman.
Yeah.
And
He's
that's
just
all
a
it
madman.
is.
And like you can't really say the same for like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, where like there's been so many things added on in like the horror universe.
Yeah.
But he's pretty much had one movie, if not two. And I don't think that's enough, especially with like how limited powers he does have to bump him up anymore.
Yeah. So you said fairly basic?
I said fairly basic.
I was gonna go Kind of Boring. I hate to do it, but him as just a human and not even that smart. He's not smart, actually. I mean, we don't know. We don't learn that about him. He's a writer. We don't know if he's smart or dumb. He's just kind of let's say he's the average male, and he gets mad. He's a madman because he's in isolation. Tries to kill his family. He's not even that successful.
Okay.
That's why I think Kind of Boring as viewing him only as a villain, not the movie.
I'm fine, kind of boring, and the main reason why is I thought fairly basic was like too low in a way. So like because other people were like, oh yeah, no, he's almost flawless. All this.
Well, the movie is flawless.
Yeah, yeah,
Almost
but like
absolute perfection.
yeah, obviously in comparing to like other villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kind of Boring.
Kind of boring.
You
One sip.
concede? All
Yeah.
right. Event Horizon, he agrees with us. Iconic, but in the end, it's just a dude that goes insane / possessed. Exactly. And then boiling it down as a villain, he's not much. He's nothing that special.
Mhm.
I'd kind of go with boring as well. Jana, well acted, and enjoyable villain, but I completely agree. Next to some of these masterminds and dynamic characters, he doesn't quite compete.
Yeah, a lot of these other characters are a lot more three-dimensional than Jack Torrance.
They have a lot more of a unique concept.
So well acted, but we can't give it to him.
No, as a villain, just on surface level, like we said, we're not basing these on how good the movies are. We're basing it on what they're like as a villain and what we think of them as a villain themselves. So that was a lot less divisive than I thought, to be honest.
Yeah?
I thought you were going to go high
Nah.
because of how iconic it is.
Yeah. And honestly, even if I did go high, you have a very good point still.
Yeah.
But obviously, I already did agree with it.
Well,
so,
exactly.
yeah. Anyways.
All right, here is another very iconic movie and villain,
Okay.
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
I
This
guess
is
I'm
you.
starting this one.
Yeah.
So, Michael Myers, he's pretty much an emotionless, stereotypical slasher, killing people with a knife from the kitchen.
Mhm.
This might be another shocker, but fairly basic.
Okay.
He's got the mask giving him a bump. So he's got something special. William Shatner's mask giving him a little bump, in my eyes. But fairly basic in terms of killers. Again, the movie's super iconic, super formative in the horror genre. One of the most iconic slasher movies to ever be made. But just boiling it down to what he is as a villain, I'm thinking fairly basic.
I was gonna say almost flawless. So this one, we'll argue a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
What's
to see if
your
I can
almost
bump
flawless?
you down or you can bump me up. But I'm gonna say almost flawless just for the main fact that he's just a killer. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a word. Nobody really knows kind of what drove him to this point for the most part.
You don't get much of a backstory
You
on
do
him.
not get much of a backstory.
Except if you consider Halloween Rob Zombie.
No, we don't. Fuck the Rob Zombie Halloween.
I like
And like
I
that
like the
could
Rob
even
Zombie.
bump it down a little bit. Like I wouldn't blame you for that. But sometimes if things are overdone,
Yeah.
they're bad. But if some things aren't done
I think
enough,
we got to give the most weight towards the original Halloween though, because of how it's the most obviously the most iconic. It's where he was created. We got to consider that one a little bit more than the rest of the franchise.
Okay.
And like I totally get where you're coming from about almost flawless. Like you don't get a backstory from him. And I've
They
made
don't
that
get a
argument.
backstory, and he doesn't talk. He's just
No
a killer.
emotion.
That's
He's
it.
just a killer.
That's all he wants
And
to
that's
do.
why I think it's fairly basic.
Like the
Because
most
he's just a killer.
the most emotion you have from him is he has an attachment to a house.
Exactly. So it's very basic.
It's not even basic because
It's
most
basic.
killers you feel like have to have a backstory. You want to know something about them, but it's not the case for Michael Myers.
I get where you're coming from, and I was throughout this whole day, I was only thinking about Michael Myers. Honestly, I was like, this one's so
Yeah.
hard for me because I was thinking almost flawless, and part of the flaws was how he's just a killer. He has no emotion. You get barely any backstory. That was some of the flaws that I came up with, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, he's just a killer. He's just stabbing people. We don't know why he's doing it. We don't know what his motives are. We don't know if he actually feels bad. We eventually learn that supposedly depending on which timeline you look at, he could be related to Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's up in the air. But face value as what he is, he's just a killer. And he kills for the sake of killing. And he has no motives. He has no reasons really to do it. And that's, if you follow the modern timeline, he's just killing for the sake of killing.
Yeah.
Laurie thinks that he's killing because some connection to her, but he's not. He's just killing for the sake of killing. And for someone just to be a villain that's just going around killing, that's why I think fairly basic. And yeah, that's my argument.
Okay. So 7 sips.
No.
Ah, you caught it.
Obviously, I'm not leaving it there. That's where I left
I
it.
was going to see if you forgot it or not.
I'm not forgetting. You think I'm that drunk or something?
I was testing the
Look,
waters.
we got a few messages here. What do we got? The mask is a 10 out of 10 creepy to me. So I do give him a bump for having the mask. I did say that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that would have been kind of boring. He's just a killer human.
Yeah. Event Horizon also
Fairly basic for me, even though I really like him and the movies as a killer.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Event
and
Horizon
that's
also
how I feel.
Event Horizon also said, and he has some kind of Satan cursed by a cult, and I feel like that gives him like a point like back, if anything,
Because of how bad the movies are.
Yeah.
Jana says respect for his character, or respect for what his character did for the genre, iconic, but he does fall a little flat for me. Jana's face value, yeah.
Okay.
We have a lot of accidental puns apparently.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to put him in pretty damn cool, then I guess.
Yeah, that's splitting the difference from
Yeah.
what our
Like-
opinions are.
I'll even say fairly basic because that's looking pretty damn crowded. And in comparison to some of the other ones, like I
Well,
can see how they all have like a little
let's-
bit more flair to them.
We can,
But I
we
hate
can
putting
leave
it on the same level as like the
Yeah,
Nun.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But it's because of how iconic Halloween is as a movie and how much better of a movie it is. But as a villain, I think we got to split the difference, though. But let's be fair and split the difference.
Okay.
We'll see if we come across any crossroads and
Oh, there's going to be a crossroad in the next one.
well, maybe.
Okay.
So
we'll take 5 sips
adjust
right
this
now.
accordingly.
Okay. And am I talking about this one, or are you talking about this one first?
Well, let us be honest.
Mm-hmm.
are we going to have more villains in Pretty Damn Cool? How many more villains do we have?
Like, there's like half the list left, I'm pretty sure.
So we're going to have more in Pretty Damn Cool. So, what I'm thinking...
I'll beat you to it. I'm going to go to the washroom first and unfortunately break that seal.
Okay,
And if you wanted to come up with some sort of compromise that we can do.
Well, I can try and make the Pretty Damn Cool segment a little bit. A little bit.
We can also just add a part 2 to Pretty Damn Cool, right?
Well, I can make the box a little bigger and then have 2 levels. I think
we should do that. I think that might be better.
I'm gonna try and see what I can do.
Okay.
If I can. I don't know if I can, guys. Event Horizon saying can't wait for the Jason discussion. Yeah. It's coming up sooner than you might think. Okay, let me try and figure this out. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I don't think I can actually change this. It's locked in place. So I think we're stuck with what we got. Yeah, we're stuck with what we got. So, it is what it is. We'll make some adjustments as we need to. If we need to, that is. Because some of these, we might have to make some more compromises based on what we think of compared to other villains. Because some of these are pretty early entries on into the categories. But Robin asks, how drunk are you guys now? Well, we've had 139 sips, which boiled down to it is about 4 drinks, I think. Either way, we've had about 4 cans and a few shots, 5 shots. I'm feeling it, to say the least. But I'm still coherent. And I'm not sloppy or messy or anything like that.
Compared to some other live streams, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I can't expand it, so we're dealing with it as we go.
What I could have suggested, we could just combine what I thought of in the washroom, because the washroom's a sacred place. I thought of combining fairly basic and kind of boring in the same category.
That doesn't help us with Pretty Damn Cool.
Because then we could just add a second category for Pretty Cool Part 2.
Yeah, but I can't change any of this.
Oh,
is the problem.
Okay.
So, but it's fine. We're figuring it out, and we're dealing with it.
Okay, well, this is going to be awkward because...
No, it's not.
So I heard also... can't wait for the Jason discussion. Moving on to our next entry is Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees. Yeah, he's the next one.
So I'm fine putting Jason down in fairly basic because there's, I think, a worse backstory to him in comparison to Michael Myers.
I think opposite. I like him more than Michael Myers.
I like the other thing is I like the aesthetic for both of those.
Well, the aesthetic plays a little bit.
Oh,
I like the aesthetic of Jason.
You're making this so hard for
You're
both
making
of
it
us.
hard.
That's what she said.
Anyways,
you just.
I don't. Alex going to the bathroom and leaving Tucker with work is relatable. Did anyone else use that excuse to make your siblings do most of the chores?
I was the youngest.
I was the oldest. I didn't.
So Tucker is used to it.
What do you mean? No, I was the one making my brothers do the chores.
Oh.
Anyways, I didn't do that to my brothers, though. I was a decent brother. I made them cry a lot, but...
I was a decent brother. Followed up with, I made them cry a lot.
That's irrelevant. So I was going to say almost flawless, because I like him as a killer more.
Well, I was going to put him in the same category as almost flawless.
There you go.
I hate putting him above Michael Myers, but we're compromising. So, okay, I want to hear your argument for almost flawless on this one.
Because he has unique kills. he's not just killing with a knife.
Okay, yeah.
That's the main thing for me. Like, he's just a killer at face value.
I never really considered that for a lot of them.
He
Such
has
as
unique kills.
Okay.
And it's not just stabbing someone with a
I
knife.
don't know why, but I never considered that.
Event Horizon says, I feel like putting him over or under Michael feels wrong. Just for that reason, he's fairly basic for me.
Yeah.
And he kind of agrees with you and how you feel, because you don't want to put him above Michael.
Like I hate that we're putting him above Michael, but
I get
obviously
it.
you like it a lot more. Like a lot more.
Well, and it's not even that. Well, as a villain, I do like him more than Michael because he has those creative kills, and Michael is just killing with a knife. That's the main thing. They're both masked killers at face value. And if you're basing it just off that, sure, they both belong in the same category.
Yeah.
But because of the creative kills, I feel like he has the upper hand at that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the same thing for Event Horizon. I haven't considered any of the types of kills for any of them. I didn't either until Tucker just brought that up. That's a fantastic point. Except for
He's
Mary
going to
Shaw.
start doing that. Except for Mary Shaw with the tongue snatching.
Yeah. I brought that up, but like I never directly said like because of her unique kills. Yeah.
Yeah, here's another point. Anyone who can cleanly decapitate a man with one punch is not a man you insult with basic. Jana coming up with the points again. And that's, like I said, the kills. That's the only thing that gives him the upper hand over Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So, 7 sips it is.
7 sips it is.
All right. Carrying on, we got Pennywise next.
This one's mine or yours?
Yours.
Okay.
So, actually, I think it's mine. Doesn't matter. Do you want to go for, or do you want me to go?
You're right, I'm left. That makes sense for only me and Tucker because we have access to like all the things.
I'm right.
You're
so
right.
I'm looking,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So we'll do it like that now.
Well,
Go for it.
I don't agree. Okay, so we got both iterations of Pennywise up because
Yeah, you're right, I'm left. Okay, go.
it doesn't matter. We got both Pennywise up. We weren't sure which one we wanted to use as the standard in this case.
Mhm.
A lot of them, there's so many different iterations. Like with Hannibal Lecter is a perfect example. We based that more so on
The most iconic
classic
one.
Yeah, the classic from like Silence of the Lambs, for example. This one, they're both super iconic and they're both very formative in the horror genre as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both so different, I feel.
Yeah.
You could almost rank them separately, but we decided that we're going to kind of try and include them together.
We did that with pretty much everything, such as what are some other? Whenever we minimize it, like obviously like Jason Voorhees, Hannibal's had different
Yeah, a lot of these
variations
characters.
as well. Same with Sadako, like English and Japanese versions. But if you want to say yours, I think we're going to align with it, but we'll see what you think.
Well, I kind of want to say almost flawless.
I want to say absolute perfection.
Yeah? And I thought you were going to go there. And
That's why I thought
honestly,
we'd align. Uh-huh.
I'm not mad putting him in absolute perfection. Just because, actually, no, the more I think of it,
Absolute perfection.
I think absolute perfection because super unique. He's extraterrestrial clown.
Extraterrestrial
that
clown
has-
from outer space that kills people
That's what
from every
extraterrestrial is.
27 years.
Yeah,
and the
no.
only one that can help people fight against him is a giant turtle that vomited out the universe.
I mean, those kids defeated him, but
Yeah, but like combined with that,
I
like just
get
the
it.
humor,
Yeah.
the acting, which I mean we didn't even really consider for like Jack Torrance,
no,
but
that-
he's-
it's, yeah.
but like
agree
the
with
one-liners,
you.
all of this, some like the kills in the new ones are pretty gory. Yeah,
No, I agree. I get it. After I thought about it more, perfection.
Like I could argue almost flawless, but
yeah, I
I
could go both
think,
ways.
yeah.
That's why I
I think
conceded.
absolute perfection for sure though. Yeah.
That's a shot. And I'll add 10 sips. If anybody's watching that hasn't heard the beginning parts, we're counting a shot as 10 sips because that was based on our math. It's 15%. A beer's a third of this basically, so we counted it as 10 sips, which is a third of our scale. You can check our math, but I don't think I explained it well enough for you to check it, so don't even bother and just trust us, because we did it right. I promise.
Shout out to Tucker's dog, Bowie. I love Bowie.
Did you hear him?
I mean, you can hear him clacking upstairs.
Oh, okay. Event Horizon, I'd say almost flawless. In the original, the final spider form was kind of whack, but I like the story and his powers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially the whole power of just inhabiting somebody's fear and using that against them. That's unique.
Brianna saying, sorry I was AFK and I have to hop off for scary movie night with the friends. Just wanted to say hi and good luck with the rest.
Thank you. That's what we usually do on Friday nights too.
Yeah.
So
and enjoy. What movie are you watching? Movie or movies?
Yes. If you're still here, please tell us.
And have fun. Robin Little, I love Tim Curry, but I think I prefer the new It.
I know, right? They're both very good.
Yeah. Jana saying unpopular opinion, but Pennywise might be basic or boring for me. I think that's unpopular.
Okay, yeah.
We don't agree, at least.
Yeah.
Event Horizon, basic. I understand if you don't like him, but I can't fathom how he is supposed to be basic. Yeah, that's how we feel too.
Just our opinions. But yeah, no, I feel like there's a lot going for Pennywise.
He is unique.
We gotta give him credit for that. One of a kind.
Yeah, there's nobody else on
in
this
comparison
list.
to like Michael Myers, who you can say is
we can make arguments
basic,
for.
Yeah.
All right, we got another Japanese horror / American remake with The Grudge, Kayako Psyche, and I might be mispronouncing, but Kayako. What do you think of The Grudge?
This is mine, yeah.
Yep.
Kayako. I think Kayako is kind of boring.
Kind of boring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Pains me to say that a little bit, but like especially since I wanted The Ring to be almost flawless.
That's what I'm kind of comparing it with almost.
Yeah.
It's similar but different. But I don't know.
To be fair, I'm a lot bigger fan of The Ring, and especially like The Ring. I've watched the English versions of both, and I don't think I've watched the Japanese versions of both.
I've seen all of the above. I've seen Japanese and
okay, so you probably have
American.
a little bit of a better take.
But at the same time, I get where you're coming from, and it's this one's kind of an outlier for me. It's hard for me to rank her.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? Kind of boring.
I said kind of boring.
I don't want to put her down there. But also, how do you feel about Fairly Basic?
Fine with that too.
Okay, let's do Fairly Basic.
As long as she's not on the same level as Samara, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I do like Samara a little bit more too.
I like Samara a lot more. It's just like, so there's a whole idea of the curse and what else going off of that. The house.
Are you talking about The Ring, or are you talking about
The Grudge? Sorry.
Okay.
To clarify.
Yeah, I think the Ring has an upper hand because it's so much more unique.
Yeah. The trailer scared me a little bit as a kid, but as a kid, I was scared of a lot of things, and I don't know what happened.
I mean, that's what happens.
Just became desensitized come grade 8.
Yeah. So 3 sips. We'll give it to The Grudge.
Yeah.
Event Horizon. I honestly was never scared in my life. Never as scared in my life. For a second, I was like, "What do you mean you've never been scared in your life?" But I misread. Never as scared in my life. Are you referring to The Grudge, or are you referring to Pennywise? I think he's referring to The Grudge.
Maybe The Grudge.
Because
especially,
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, like as a child, like I was terrified of The Grudge, like commercials and all this as a kid. Like I couldn't sleep at night.
She's very unsettling, and just her overall appearance is like very off-putting for me. Even like I agree, as a kid, I felt the same way as The Grudge, and that's how a lot of people around me feel. Like I want to rewatch The Grudge so bad, and I mean I could go and watch it on my own. I just never really find the time to. It seems, but nobody wants to watch it with me.
Tucker's really wanted it for horror nights, but we all basically just kept denying him for a while.
So yeah, I haven't got around to watching it in super recent times,
Yeah.
but yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one, which is yours. Take it away.
Captain Spaulding, if I could bring him
There you
up.
are. Ah, okay.
So, Captain Spaulding, he's got a special place in my heart because I really love Devil's Rejects. Him as a villain and a character, obviously being based off of John Wayne Gacy, the real life serial killer who dressed as a clown. He's got a special place in my heart, and Sid Haig as an actor, I really like him. Rest in peace to Sid Haig. But that being said, him as a villain is not that special. Killer Clown, I think, fairly basic.
I was thinking the same thing.
As much as it pains me to say, I really do like him as a character and as an actor in the movie I like. But overall, as a villain, looking at it, I gotta give it fairly basic.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you agree that's where he's going.
I agree, fairly basic.
3 sips for fairly basic.
The other thought process is he's not even one of the main characters of the Fireflies. Like, he is, but isn't. Like, he's not part of the family.
He's not part of the family, but he's in every one of
Yeah.
them.
No,
Well,
yeah, he is. Never mind.
he is.
It took me a second.
For 3 from Hell, he had a very limited role because
Yeah.
he was literally dying.
Yeah.
So he had to, he couldn't partake as much as Rob Zombie and he would have liked, but
Mhm.
he still had a role, and you could see it in his role that he was struggling, but he was in every one of them. Robin saying, I honestly still have never seen the movie because people have built it up to be so scary and I'm kind of a wimp. I think she's basing that off of Jordan's opinion. Jordan,
Yeah.
my fiance, because Jordan is terrified of watching The Grudge. She pretty much refuses to watch it with me no matter how much I ask her. And Robin
And that's why
is-
nobody wants to watch it with you, Tucker.
and Robin is her best friend, so I mean that's probably
Yeah.
why. One of her
Um,
best friends, I
But
should
anyways,
say.
VR for The Grudge. Is there a VR Grudge game? I'd like to check that out. But
yeah, Event
again,
Horizon with VR.
I don't have VR.
The Grudge
but
games with VR.
I would love to see anything VR for horror because I've never experienced that.
No.
I remember I went to a horror arcade. I think it was in Saskatoon,
Mm-hmm.
and the scariest thing I've witnessed, like there was a zombie shooting game, but I was on like the edge of a building shooting off zombies, but I was just so terrified of the edge. My biggest fear is heights, so I didn't do like, yeah, I pretty much like didn't like want to like look down over the edge to see if there's any zombies coming to kill me. It's just like at that point I'll just die. I'll get bitten. It's fine.
Fair enough.
But anyways, let's move on
moving
to the next
we got
one.
Carrie. Carrie as a villain. What do you think of Carrie?
I don't know what to think of Carrie.
You don't know what to think
I
of Carrie?
actually okay.
I know what to think of Carrie. Personally.
I'm just trying to think. Sorry.
That's okay. Let me help you. We got absolute perfection, almost flawless, pretty damn cool, fairly basic, kind of boring, and straight up lame.
Okay, I'm gonna say almost flawless. What do you think?
I was gonna say absolute perfection.
Ooh, okay. Like I really had to think about it for a second. I don't think I really went into today actually thinking about everyone,
No, I didn't either.
but I wanted to say absolutely flawless just because she has a good
Almost
backstory.
flawless.
Oh yeah, sorry, almost flawless because she had a great backstory,
Yeah.
upbringing from being abused, and how that all kind of manifests into herself having problems growing up,
Yeah.
especially a coming of age story covered in blood, basically dealing with all these teenage hormones that she's not
That's
exactly
just it.
sure how to control,
Yeah.
and then goes into basically just a killing spree rampage. Like obviously, like as a kid you kind of think like, oh man, I wish this person would die or something like that, or as an adult you basically be like, this person in defense you say like, this person needs help, I wish this person would get the help, as opposed to like just wishing death upon them like Carrie does. I would be fine with absolute perfection for sure.
Yeah. And that's what my vote is. because she's a teenage girl. She doesn't know she's a villain. Like, let's be honest. She kind of just learns and discovers her powers throughout the movie. And who else on this list?
And these very big Christian overtones.
Yeah, and who else on this list has like the same tone and vibe as Carrie? Similar like
just
powers or anything. Who else on this list has that?
That's fair.
So that's why I think almost perfection. She's unique.
Telekinetic.
She's a teenage villain that's kind of like you said. She's going through her hormones and
like
stuff.
it's a coming of age story.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really odd.
And just how iconic she is plays a part as well. And Jana says, agreed. Her story and revenge were chef's kiss. Yeah. You're not wrong. And that's kind of how I feel about it, and that's why I think absolute perfection. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you willing to concede with that?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
All right. So we're taking a
we
shot.
kind of both, like, I pretty much talked myself into it at that point.
Alrighty. Carrying on. We got Candyman next.
Okay, we can only say it another 3 times. Let's use it wisely.
Candyman.
Oh, you're...
No, it's 5 times in total.
Yeah, so we can only say it another 2 now.
Now 3. I said Candyman twice. Now 3.
Yeah, so we can say...
Now it's 2.
So we can't say Candyman again.
Therefore, now one more time.
So if we say it again, he appears.
So, what do you think of him?
I think Daniel Robitaille, is that how you say it?
Huh?
I'm just trying to think. Wait, this is yours. Go for it.
Almost flawless.
I was going to say the same thing.
All right. We don't have to.
And like the way that I basically said you do it and then I do it and then I pretty much said the same thing. So I love the backstory of Helen, how it's very vague and inconspicuous that
based just off the
they might have been in love in kind of a previous timeline. I love the whole like mythos kind of similar to Bloody Mary. The whole way he was not abused, but killed back in the whatever century. All that. Like, I like the whole storyline behind it.
Yeah, me too. Like, the backstory they give him is interesting. They obviously took inspiration from Bloody Mary, which I think that's where the flaw might come in, because it's not 100% unique. It's not totally flawless because it's based off something that's not totally original.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost flawless because in terms of what we're looking at here, I think it's almost flawless.
Yeah.
But...
And Tony Todd did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I hate saying that just because we didn't really give Jack Torrance the exact same benefit of the doubt.
But as a villain, Candyman's way more unique and much cooler villain.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I'll be quick. Now it's my turn to break the seal.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he had like such a seductive play.
Romantic.
Like, it was basically like a romantic play on death, which was very interesting. And I like how both of, I'm trying to think of Clive Barker's characters are both in absolute perfection here. Because Clive Barker's a very good writer. Anyways, we are going to move along to the next one, which is... His name's Bruce, if you guys have heard of Bruce here. He's a shark. This is Bruce from Jaws, everybody. What do you guys think? I know exactly what I think. Tucker may or may not agree. And here's what I think. He's kind of garbage. Let's see if Tucker agrees. But I kind of thought about this all day, but realistically, it's just a shark. I find that, and there's how many shark attacks a year. You're more likely to get killed by getting struck by lightning, which happens fairly often.
Who's next?
Next is Bruce the Shark.
Bruce the Shark. This is what you thought of all day?
thought of if it was anyone I thought of since making this list, it's where I thought I'd rank this person.
I kind of thought about Michael Myers in that way. I didn't think about Bruce.
No, I'll give you a second.
Let's see.
I already told everybody else what I thought. If you want,
I didn't hear what you said.
If you want, I can tell you exactly what I said.
Well,
because,
let's see what everyone says first. Jan, a really gripping movie. Even if I was confused at many points, the absolutely foul public bathroom is still what gets me the most, though. Referring to Candyman?
Candyman, yeah.
Seductive and romantic are definitely the right words. Added to the creepy factor, but also created sympathy. And that's how I feel, too.
Yeah. No, it's very super well done.
Yeah, exactly. Basic at best. Referring to Jaws, I assume? Robin, I've also never seen Jaws, but are you counting the special effects in these movies? We are not... Based on, I mean, they're pretty well done, Jaws. It was not a real shark, obviously. It was animatronic. But we are not considering that. We're considering at face value what the villain is and what we think of that villain and what their powers are, what overall, what them as a villain is, not how well their movie was or how good their movie was or anything like that. Jana, we're gonna need a bigger boring bar.
we're gonna need a bigger pretty damn cool bar.
A killer who can be countered by standing 2 meters away from the water.
Okay, Tucker, what do you think?
I mean, they're kind of selling me on it. It's kind of lame. Just a straight up shark.
No, that's exactly what I said. I thought it was straight up garbage.
Okay, yeah.
Straight up lame. Just don't go in the water. How hard is that? You can literally just throw a couple of volts in the water and everything will just die.
Not gonna lie, I would have said kind of boring.
No, I was thinking straight up lame all day.
I do get it.
It's literally just a shark.
It's just a shark. Sharks are around us all the time. People go diving with sharks all the time.
And don't get killed.
Yeah. All right, let's roll the dice.
Oh yeah, this is how this works.
I got 5.
2.
7 it is. This is more than any other drinking game we've made for a movie. 186. That's more than any we've made.
I think so, yeah.
All right, let's move on. Oh, we got Norman Bates up next.
If he'll load. There he is. Oh,
he's coming up. He's coming up. Look at that guy. That's Norman Bates right there. Is it my turn?
Yes. Let me just try to think before.
Well, you think while I talk for a second here.
Okay.
Norman Bates. So, one of the very first serial killers, I guess you'd call him, in horror genre. Obviously 1960 with Psycho. Norman Bates. He's a mama's boy. He simply kills with a knife, just like Michael Myers does. Just human, doesn't wear a mask, doesn't have much of a backstory. He's got multiple personalities disorder. What do you call that nowadays?
Multiple personality disorder.
No, I think there's a is that the right term? I don't know.
I think so.
Okay. Either way, he's got multiple personality disorders, so he's got a little bit of a backstory, I guess. But overall, I think I'm gonna say fairly basic for him.
I was gonna say pretty damn cool.
Pretty damn cool, but fairly
I'm
basic.
fine going pretty basic. And before we decide and finalize on fairly basic, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'll lay my argument.
Yeah.
Sorry. So obviously one of the first serial killers ever in film.
Yes, and that's part of the reason. That's part of why I want to bump him up, but also we can't necessarily base it off of that because we're looking at him as just a villain.
Definitely.
So
schizophrenic. But anyways, yeah, especially comparing him to everybody else. But yeah, no, I like the whole part of him being a mama's boy.
Yeah.
And okay, I'll say this, how he's fairly basic for the main reason that the twist is phenomenal, especially
yeah.
for its time.
Huh? I agree.
But it wouldn't be
completely.
effective on like second watches or anything like that.
Yeah, that's.
If I
that's
watched
true.
Bates Motel, I feel like it might sway my opinion one way or the other. I'm not even sure if Bates is in it, to be honest. I haven't watched it, obviously.
Janice says, "Is he cooler than Jack from The Shining?" I don't know. Looking at Jack is just a madman writer. That's he's
I'm gonna
trapped
say
in
yes.
winter.
There's
That's
a lot.
what I think.
There's a lot more going on in Norman Bates's head, especially
Yeah,
that he thinks
that's
he
how I
is his
feel.
mother, being a psycho personality,
Yeah.
all this.
And yeah, we're led to believe that his mother is the killer because he's killing pretending to be his mom.
Yeah.
So like, I do think he's more, what's the word? He's more.
He's more three-dimensional.
Yeah, than
Sure.
Jack Torrance. He's got more characteristics and more backstory than Jack Torrance
Yeah.
does. So yeah, he's better than Jack Torrance.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely good argument to bring up, though. I feel like now thinking about it, we should have had the whole Overlook Hotel as a character.
As a villain.
In comparison to Jack Torrance, right?
Yeah, that would have definitely been different, but
I'd say it would have been better.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Overlook Hotel is way more unique as a character than Jack Torrance is.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Next up, Frankenstein's monster. You're pouring a shot? Oh, that's
I
just
am
for your
pouring a
mate. That's just for your drink.
I learned a little while ago why I pour shots.
No, I thought you were pouring a shot as a
Oh no.
as like a you were determining
Nah.
what this was going to be for sure.
No.
Frankenstein's monster.
It's going to be probably the opposite. Anyways, Frankenstein's monster. To be fair, haven't seen any of the movies in quite a while. But
Frankenstein's monster is not super low tier.
Okay, so anyways, Frankenstein's monster. Obviously, there's a whole backstory of him being created.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole town hating him wanting to get revenge, all this.
Yeah.
I still think he's fairly basic. I hate to say it.
I want to say pretty damn cool, and because, like, for the same reason you brought up, but in the opposite direction, the fact that he was created to try and just be, a normal human being, because it was Dr. Frankenstein's goal to basically take parts from other humans and make them into this
Perfection?
perfect human, but it ended up being a villain. It was man-made villain.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got no emotion. He's got no empathy, I should say. He has emotion. He has no empathy, though. He doesn't know what's right from wrong. I think it's pretty damn cool when you think about how he has to be built from nothing or from a bunch of dead people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think pretty damn cool rather than fairly basic. And it was 1932, I think,
Mm-hmm.
when the first Frankenstein movie came out. How ahead of its time was that? How creative was it back then?
Didn't give the same benefit to Norman Bates.
Yeah,
I'll still give you pretty damn cool because you
it's
do
so
have,
much more unique than Norman Bates.
Yeah. I guess it does have like a little bit more of a backstory. Yeah, fuck Chucky.
No, Chucky's staying, but I'm just trying to move people over.
Oh, that's what you're trying to do.
I'm still gonna let them be visible. Let me see. I can do this. Forward. And then I'll put Sam there, Samara right there. We can still see Sam. Boom. And then it'll send him
Oh, there you go.
back.
You're making room.
Oh no.
Oh,
not that
no.
far.
Undo.
Forward, front. Okay. Back. Oh, forward, backward, front. Bear with me.
Just stop doing things, Tucker.
Okay, and then we got Damien moving over.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Damien can take out quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
Mary Shaw, she's Mary Shaw. And we can cover up Billy the doll. He's not the villain. He's just the puppet. And then look at that. We got room for Frankie. Frankie's right in there with him with 5 sips.
Do you like how Xenomorph and Jason almost connect in pictures?
Oh yeah, it kind of looks like it blends together in a way.
Yep.
Anyways, Event Horizon, and he has a DIY wife. That's true. Frankenstein's Bride, inspired by Frankenstein. He's got a DIY wife.
I heard it as DUI. Frankenstein is a wife that drinks and drives.
We do not condone drinking and driving.
Yeah, Tuck and I are out for the night.
Robin, as someone who hates the idea of zombies, he is one of the scarier classic horror villains to me.
Yeah, no, Tucker and I hate zombies too.
But for different reasons. She hates them because she's scared of them.
Okay.
We hate them because they're overdone.
Okay. Yeah.
If you watched our monster taxonomy villain live stream last month, you would know how we feel about zombies. They're kind of just overdone and, you know, not that special.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great zombie movies, but I don't know. Just the monster as a whole is nothing too special. Anyways,
let's move on to the next one.
Another icon. Top 4, at least, in terms of what they have for the horror genre. Leatherface.
Leatherface.
Leatherface. There we go. Leatherface. So,
Okay.
What do you think of Leatherface?
It's you and I.
Is it me? Alright.
I think I know where we're both going to align on this, but go first.
Leatherface. So, he's got a bit of a backstory. He's this kind of challenged, disabled. He's not an intellectual, let's say.
Mm-mm.
He's not very smart. He does what his family wants him to do, what he's told to do. So he's got some... And even in the first one, we kind of see... It almost seems like he kind of feels bad, but he's still just a crazy guy. Not perfection, let's say that. Right out the gate. I'm torn between almost flawless and pretty damn cool. For the fact that we put Michael Myers in pretty damn cool, I kind of hold him at the same level as Michael Myers, but he's got a little more backstory as a villain.
You hold him at the same level as Michael Myers, yet
Because-
you're willing to bump up Jason more?
Yes. As a villain,
Wow. Okay.
Jason has, like we mentioned, the kills. What does Leatherface have for kills?
Skinning people alive and wearing their faces. I was going to say
Yeah.
absolute perfection.
Okay, no, not absolute perfection.
I was going to say, like, at the very least, he's almost flawless.
almost
but-
flawless. I would
okay.
concede. I would
So-
definitely give. Yeah, no,
So I'm going to pitch my idea for absolute perfection, and
Okay.
we'll see if you want to agree for it. I honestly thought you would agree for absolute perfection as well. But anyways, Leatherface is the kind of guy that skins people alive, and to
Yeah.
be fair, he does other people's bidding.
just their faces. Let's
Yeah,
put it. Let's
but
say
that alone
Yeah,
is
no.
interesting enough. Wearing,
Yeah.
like, imagine your significant other going missing, and then you seeing
Yeah.
Leatherface
Oh, yeah.
wearing their face.
Yeah.
Horrifying, especially as a villain.
You make a great point.
So anyways, continuing on, he might do other people's bidding, but is that all he knows? Probably. So he just does what he
Yes.
knows best, which is killing people.
Which is also unique characteristic. in
It's a
terms of
unique
villains.
characteristic.
Yeah.
He
And that's-
has a
that's
lot of
what my point-
backstory. It's basically people have been taking care of him his whole life, and whenever people
Yeah.
don't take care of him properly,
Yeah.
or he's let loose, he just goes berserk and starts slaying people with chainsaws,
Yeah.
putting them on meat hooks, decapitating them, you name it. This
Yeah.
guy is straight up ruthless, and I love him.
Yeah. I fucking love him I love him and I love his movies. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one was the first horror movie I ever saw,
Mhm.
as we discussed before. And we were on Everything Horror's podcast, Horror Lives, talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I love this movie. It's so fucking good. I love the whole concept behind it. And you do bring up a lot of good points, and you kind of swayed me. I think absolute perfection.
Absolute perfection.
That's
why I had to say, like,
I
had to pitch it to you. I knew you were a big Texas Chainsaw fan. I'm surprised you didn't go with that from the start.
Well, I was just trying to, like, I didn't consider a lot of the points you brought up, and I was just thinking, like, you know, he's one of those typical serial killers. I did give him the backstory point that you brought up. I said, like, you know, his family's the one swaying him, making him do the things he's doing. He's not really making decisions on his own. But, yeah, you swayed me. I give him absolute perfection. So, I'll add 10.
Add 10. We'll take a shot.
Let's see. Event Horizon. If there was a category between fairly basic and pretty damn cool, he would be there for me 100%. Now I'm very torn. I think he was referring to Leatherface for that. Could have been referring to Frankenstein's monster. I could be delayed on that. But then he says, yeah, I think I valued him not high enough. And that was kind of after the points you made.
Yeah. So I think it must be. Yeah.
Jana's saying, being inspired by real serial killers made him extra freaky for me. That's also a good point.
Based on Ed Gein.
Based on Ed Gein, yeah. Yeah, he was based on Ed Gein, and that's all the furniture made out of bones. That's what Ed Gein did. And
that's another thing we didn't consider, where he's near perfection.
But I don't think that was necessarily Leatherface doing that work. I think it was more so, you know, his family doing that. The skinning puts him at the top for me too. Yeah. And that's something I don't know why I didn't consider. But yeah, I'll take my shot. I added the 10 for it. I'm just pouring a new drink here. And do you know what this means? 200 POG.
POG means player of the game. It's basically, in gamer sense, it means very highly regarded.
Player of the game, I understand what that means.
I mean, it doesn't mean like Pog in the sense like, oh, this guy's like the best in this game. You have to be a gamer to get it. it's so weird to say that.
I get what you're saying. I do. I do.
But either way, yeah, no, it means that he's like highly rated.
Yeah.
We'll say that. But yeah, Leatherface is a Pog.
Yeah. And
okay.
Was it kind of like unexpected maybe?
Unexpected what?
That he was a Pog?
No.
For me it is.
No, Leatherface is always Pog.
Alright. For me it's unexpected.
I'm surprised that you didn't rate him absolute perfection higher. We'll do Ghostface, and then we'll do this. After we do Ghostface, I'm going to go pee.
That's fine.
Because I broke the seal, which is a bad idea.
I did too, but I'm fine.
You're going to be so upset with me on this one. Ghostface, I want absolute perfection.
I'm not that upset. Like, Ghostface, the reason him as a villain is so unique is because it's not just one person. It's multiple people working together for the same motive. Well, not every time, of course, it's not multiple people.
Almost all the time they're working together.
But almost all the time it's multiple people working together. And
was there multiple people in the third one?
The third one was when they're on the set. It was the half-brother, what's his name?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I think that was
just half-brother, right?
Yeah. I think that might have been the only time it wasn't multiple people.
Fun fact.
Anyways, that's points for him. It's unique because it's not the same person every time.
Yeah.
That being said,
one-liner, especially like I love his aesthetic so much.
Yes,
I loved his aesthetic ever since as a kid. He has always been like my favorite aesthetic-wise.
Yeah. I
love the cloak and then just like the blank like scream face.
Oh yeah. It's super iconic.
And I haven't even seen a movie yet. Like,
before you saw any movies,
any horror movie. This has been my most iconic. Most iconic slasher villain.
Here's the thing that bumps it down from perfection to almost flawless for me.
Okay.
As a villain, yes, he has all those unique characteristics, but give him the same treatment as Jack Torrance. He's just a killer with a knife. He's just a killer with a knife. He doesn't have that creative with kills. Sure,
with
it's a little bit
motivation.
He has motivation, but he's simply killing people. Mostly, he's just killing people with a knife. Obviously, there's some.
What
other
about
kills
the one time where
he killed someone with a garage door?
No, where he beheaded somebody in the TV series.
Okay,
with the thingy.
We don't
like
need
the
to
lawn
consider
tractor.
that. I haven't seen the TV series, so irrelevant. We're talking about movies here,
No, I'm fine putting him in almost flawless still.
and that's the only thing that bumps him down, because if you look at him as a killer, he's just killing people with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
But because he has such a unique concept, he has multiple people behind him, behind that mask. Mm-hmm. That's what gives him a super strong edge compared to some of these other people.
Especially the other way that we could look at it too is just thinking of the characters themselves. So such as Stu and Billy.
Yeah.
We could think of those characters and
but
say
that's not,
like how great they were.
Yeah, of course.
But that's
different.
Can you
that's
take
not
that away?
Ghostface as a whole.
But it is Ghostface.
It's part of
right?
Ghostface.
Yeah.
It's part of Ghostface.
Yeah. No, I'm fine putting him in like almost flawless. Like I think it's absolutely controversial putting him in absolutely flawless or absolute.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolute perfection. Feeling a little bit. Okay.
Jenna, he created a lot of terror with a pretty basic formula in a way that Michael Myers did not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like, boiled down, they're both just killers stabbing people with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it so much more unique because of multiple people behind it, behind that mask. They're working together to, with the same motive. They have different...
Well, it's like, okay, so for example, like, he was following Michael Myers followed Laurie Strode around, targeting her, but her friends were basically just a casualty. All they had to do was hightail out of town, whereas Ghostface would still kind of track them out of town and kill them just because they knew that they were attached to name please.
Sidney Prescott.
Sidney Prescott. Wow. Okay. I'm going to the washroom.
Okay. I will move on to our next villain and start what my thoughts are.
Yep.
I'll let you go first.
You can talk about it and I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Our next villain. We just talked about Ghostface. Now, let's talk about Annabelle. Annabelle, if she would come up on the screen, there she is. Annabelle, obviously from Annabelle. Annabelle, the Conjuring universe. She's part of the Conjuring universe. She's a possessed doll. She came after Chucky. We talked about Chucky already. We think Chucky was a pretty damn cool villain. And I gave him personally an upper hand. I wanted him almost flawless, but Alex wanted him fairly basic. But we met in the middle, and I gave him an upper hand because he was one of the first possessed dolls, if you want to say that. But Annabelle, it's another James Wan villain, and it's nothing new. It's nothing we haven't seen before in the past with other movies. Annabelle's a modern villain. Obviously took a lot of inspiration from other movies that have come before it. And my opinion of Annabelle is kind of boring. I'm almost saying straight up lame, but I think kind of boring. I'll give her a little bit of an edge to villains that we put in straight up lame, like Toby from Paranormal Activity, the Blair Witch from obviously the Blair Witch Project. I would rank her slightly above that, but at the same time I would rank her on par with Bruce from Jaws. So yeah, I'm torn between straight up lame and kind of boring. I'm curious to see what Alex has to say about her. Obviously, you could argue that Malthus the demon is the villain behind Annabelle, but I'm not really considering Malthus. I'm just considering Annabelle as the villain.
Alright, I kind of heard yours in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I agree. Kind of boring. Kind of boring.
Alright.
Like, comparison to, like, The Invisible Man and Jack Torrance,
Yeah, that's my thing.
Like almost below it, but like nowhere near on the same level as like the Blair Witch or Toby. Right?
That's just it.
But like in
if I
comparison to
could-
like the other categories like Valak or Pumpkinhead or Norman Bates, yeah,
And that's just
definitely
it.
belongs in Kind of Boring.
If I could, I would put Annabelle and Bruce in the same category. But like you said, I wouldn't put Bruce on the same tier as Jack Torrance or Invisible Man. But I also wouldn't put Annabelle with Blair Witch
Yeah.
and Toby. So like, you know, it's hard to decide where to put her.
Oh, let's take one full sip.
One
for-
sip. It's a nice little
Annabelle.
break. Robin agrees she isn't as bad as the Blair Witch. Jana says, I would say pretty lame. I got jump scares from her movies, but no terror about her as a character.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
I think. Event Horizon. I like Malthus, so
Yeah, Malthus is a great demon.
yeah. And
Um,
that's someone we didn't include on this list. We decided to include Annabelle. She's more of a
Malthus is
icon.
Annabelle, so it's kind
Yeah.
of included with the same thing, but
Kind of, but
we
Malthus
see Malthus
also,
like very few times
yeah.
in the movie, so
He's smart, but pretty basic for a demon. And yeah, that's just it. He's just a demon.
he's just a demon.
And I think Annabelle, like, I would put Malthus
Like
as
we've had
fairly
some,
basic.
we've had some better demons on the list, such
Oh, yeah.
as Pazuzu and
Damien.
Oh yeah, Damien, I guess. Is that it?
I don't know.
Valak.
Yeah, I guess even Valak.
Yeah, we haven't
But-
really considered the demon side to Valak, but anyways,
Still.
we can move on.
Did I add the one to the tally?
I don't know.
He's
Take
saying
a sip.
Event Horizon, same like the Nun, like Valak.
Valak's better than Annabelle, I think.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. A little bit more unique.
Especially since Valak basically has the whole gimmick of wolf in sheep's clothing, tries to portray herself as
Yeah,
a nun,
Like a nun, like some sweet innocent
Yeah,
woman.
it's basically like the mock of the Holy Trinity, like the 3 times knocking. It's kind of like that, where you look holy, but you're actually the exact opposite. I don't know. I think it was
Yeah,
at
like
211 before, so 1 up, 212
oh, for the tally.
for the tally. Sorry.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Event Horizon.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if I put it up, so thank you for paying more attention than me.
And both of us, I'd say.
Than both of us, yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're reaching. Well, we still got 8 villains left.
7.
7. No, there's 8. Oh, 7, yeah. Annie Wilkes is next.
Anyways, Annie Wilkes. Annie Wilkes.
Is it? It's you first because I gave my
This is
thoughts
me
on
first.
Annabelle.
So, okay. We live in Canada, so there's a serial killer that really reminds me of Annie Wilkes.
Who's
There's
that?
a serial killer that does kind of the same thing with old people that Annie Wilkes did with babies. Annie Wilkes in the books, in the movies, in like news clippings, basically caused babies to die in the hospital.
Mhm.
There was a woman who was also a nurse in Canada that caused old people to die by overdosing them, and nobody really looked into it because they were such old age. Until she admitted to it, basically got caught by the police, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
She had a lot of issues. Fun fact, I'm just stalling for time.
You're thinking
Yeah.
about it.
It like honestly, it really reminds me of that serial killer in Canada. Really reminded me of Annie Wilkes, and this isn't
Yeah.
like a serial killer that happened like in the 80s. This is recent, like
Mhm.
2010s,
Yeah.
like 2017. I think she was arrested. But anyways, Annie Wilkes, I think, is fairly basic.
Fairly basic.
Fairly
okay.
basic. Just because a lot of her deaths happen off screen. Obviously, she held what's his name? Blake Sheldon?
Paul Sheldon.
Paul Sheldon. Why did I think I don't know. Paul
Blake
Sheldon.
Sheldon's a country singer.
There we go. She held Paul Sheldon captive for a long period of time, torturing him. It was a lot worse in the book. If we were talking about the book, it might have been a little better, but obviously we were we're doing it
Interpreting?
based off of one movie.
Yeah.
Annie Wilkes, off of that one movie, we can't really get a whole lot. A lot of Stephen King's are either absolute perfection or
Jack Torrance, though.
kind of boring. Yeah.
So you're saying kind of boring?
I'm still thinking fairly basic.
Fairly basic is
Fairly,
what I would have put it too.
Okay.
Honestly, I think she's more unique than Jack Torrance.
I want to see this.
She's more unique than Jack Torrance.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm fine
because
with it.
she's
I want to look at everyone else and kind of boring.
She's an isolated woman who... She's a nurse who is killing babies. We get more backstory for her than Jack Torrance. Is the main thing.
We get more backstory. We see a lot of the horrendous deeds that she commits on Paul Sheldon. I was about to say Blake Sheldon again. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll give you fairly basic, honestly. She's nothing that special. That's the main point.
Mm-hmm.
So we will take 3. Mm-hmm. And Robin disagrees. Fairly basic. She was a disturbing character to me, and Kathy Bates was great in the role. Absolutely, you're not wrong. Kathy Bates was phenomenal in the role. The movie is incredible. She is a disturbing character, but her as a villain, just again taking it at face value, she is an isolated woman that kills people with a knife or a gun.
Reminding you, we didn't give the same benefit of the doubt to Jack Torrance.
Yeah. And that's just it.
Yeah.
We're not basing
Jack Torrance,
these...
phenomenal role. Like, Jack Nicholson did great in his role. Oscar worthy for sure, but we didn't give him the same benefit of the doubt.
And we're not basing it based on the movie or the portrayal from the actor. Mm-hmm. We're basing it off of the villain itself. It could have been played by any actor at, doesn't matter how good the movie is.
It depends a little bit.
It does give it an edge if it's played by a better actor, of course.
Yeah.
We
haven't taken as much consideration into it.
Yeah.
We'll say that
We're
much.
trying to base it just on our opinions on the villain and what they do, what the actions they take, and stuff like that. I liked it because there's something creepy about the character being so realistic. And that is a good point, for sure. And it's arguably based on... It's inspired by true events, let's say. It's not obviously completely based on it, but it's inspired by it. And that does give it a factor, give it a little bit of an edge, and that's why we put it above Jack Torrance. But it is fairly basic, boiled down.
Yeah.
Event Horizon saying, I have a list I made just now with a few names I would like to have included here. Let's see how many are left when you are done.
For sure.
I'm going to bet that the names on your list are not coming up. I'm going to say that.
These are fairly uncommon, so we'll see.
Quite a few of them are fairly uncommon.
There's, I think, one for sure.
Yeah,
which is
maybe. We'll get to it.
One.
Maybe.
I think. Okay.
Either way, this is something that we can do with more villains in the future. There's almost... It's obviously not endless, but it's something we can pull another 50 or 40 characters, villains for.
We have, I think, what is it? 6 left. And
no, we got 7. 6.
6 left. And after that, tell us who we forgot. And I would actually like to know.
Yeah, Harry
And then
Warden.
we can rank them as well, but we won't have pictures or anything like that.
But wait, yeah, we can rank them.
Yeah. Oh, you'll drop it now. Okay, so...
We have 2 out of those ones. We have 2 out of them.
Yep.
We won't say which 2.
Yeah, okay.
There's some I thought of on this list.
There's one that I really wish we did conclude. Okay.
Okay, but anyways, Harry Warden, a.k.a. the Miner. We'll talk about him. But first, did we take our drink, our 3 sips for fairly basic? We did not. No.
We definitely did.
I didn't.
I took our sips. I know you up the counter from 212 to 215.
Okay.
Unless the last one was also a fairly basic.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Okay. Harry Warden. All right. Harry Warden. Is it me or you first?
It's you right side.
It's me?
Yeah.
Okay. Harry Warden. He's a minor. You know, he's attacking on Valentine's Day.
Happy birthday.
I'm torn between two, I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you which two I'm torn about and see what you think.
Yeah.
Kinda boring and straight up lame.
Ooh. I was thinking pretty damn cool.
Okay.
I like the whole backstory of Valentine's Day, and his kills are pretty damn good.
It's unique in the sense that it takes place on Valentine's Day. There's not a lot of movies that do that. But he's just a freaking minor.
He's a minor, but like again,
obviously we don't
how
see
many horror
minors.
movies take place in mines?
We don't see that. But
especially with the whole backstory of wanting to kill people on Valentine's Day because he was stuck in the mine on Valentine's Day, continuing on from that.
I get it.
His kills are phenomenal for the time being.
I get it.
In the time frame.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it doesn't. Anything you're saying is not giving me that much excitement about him. I don't care that much for him.
I'm
as
fine
a
putting
villain.
him in
kind of
boring, but
I'll give you that because I was torn between kind of boring and straight up lame.
Even you're gonna have to give me one maybe.
I might give you one.
Yeah,
but he doesn't do a whole lot for me. He's just a killer he's a minor.
He is a minor,
and he just kills people on Valentine's Day.
He kills people on Valentine's Day who want to celebrate Valentine's Day because he was trapped in a mine. Then I don't know.
I get it.
If I was more sober, I could argue a little bit.
Either way, we're taking a sip. And let's move on.
Okay. We'll have to come back to these comments about the other ones.
We will come back. Because a couple of them are coming up, just like this one. Dracula. Dracula was on your list, Event Horizon, and this is one we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula, mostly based off of, let's say, the original. There's so many classic Dracula movies. Obviously, Dracula and vampires have been done to death.
Mm-hmm.
But I pulled Bela Lugosi because he's one of the most iconic. Let's be honest.
So here's the thing that's gonna piss us both off a little bit. If it's Dracula in general, I want to say almost flawless. For the main fact that Dracula is an original concept for the most part, until it was beaten to death like a dead horse.
Exactly. And there's a reason that it was beaten to death.
Because it was a great concept.
Exactly. And that's just it. How do we treat it? Because with all these characters you've been taking into consideration remakes and stuff.
It's overdone.
Obviously it's heavily based off the original concept. We got to take that into consideration. Dracula as a villain is fucking great. Like, imagine this is the first time you're ever seeing Dracula, and you learn about his powers and what kills him, how he works, how he goes about everything.
Man,
it's fucking great. It's been beaten to the ground because of how much it's done.
Okay, what are you thinking?
Well, I agree with you. Almost flawless.
Like
the only flaw is it's been overdone so much.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say absolute perfection, but I want to move it down to almost flawless because it was beaten to death.
Yeah, and I agree. I can agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. I was going to say almost.
Yeah.
Almost flawless. So, 7 sips. All right. Janice had never seen it. Footloose with cannibalism. She wasn't referring to Dracula. What was the one before Dracula?
The one before Dracula.
My Bloody Valentine. Harry Warden. My Bloody Valentine is not Footloose with cannibalism.
You're allowed to... because the dance.
I know. I get it. But I wouldn't compare those two.
No. I compare it more to Friday the 13th because Kevin Bacon's in it.
it's also it's a slasher. It's a slasher that takes place on Valentine's Day.
It's a slasher that's, I'd say, fairly underrated for the early 80s.
Oh, yeah. Because there was so many slashers that came out of the 80s.
Yeah. Some of them were
dog shit.
Brilliant hits.
Some of them, yeah, exactly.
And
some of them were hidden gems.
Some of them were hidden gems that just weren't expanded on more.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into one of my favorite slasher movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
Coming up very soon.
One of the... Actually,
the last
one.
The last one. Have you seen that movie?
I have.
Oh, I love it so much. Especially the sequel as well as
we're not talking about this movie though. This is Art
this
the
is
Clown.
a recent movie.
We're gonna base it mostly off of Terrifier. It's also been on Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with Terrifier.
Terrifier is the main one.
Super stoked for Terrifier 2 if it ever comes out.
Yes.
If it ever comes out, that's the main thing. But him as a villain. So he's a clown, killer clown.
He's just a clown and she's just a girl.
But
can I make it any more obvious?
Coming back to the kills, got some creative kills.
Oh yes,
especially with the saw.
It's no
cutting them vertically.
Yeah. Not even that, like just skinning alive, wearing it like Buffalo Bill or Leatherface style, however you want to call it. But oh my goodness, some of those kills are creative.
Yes, but also
personality as well.
He does have personality.
He has a little bit of spunk in him.
A little bit, but it still does take inspiration from other films.
Continue.
So, I can't call it perfection because it's not completely original. It's not, it's not gone above and beyond all expectations or whatever. But I would say almost, almost flawless or pretty damn cool.
I want to say almost flawless. That's what I was thinking initially.
So, since I'm torn between the two, I will give you almost flawless because I'm not mad about that, honestly.
Almost flawless, but such a unique villain. Just from personality, never speaking a word.
Yeah, the personality is a big part. And not even speaking a word, but
especially
he still has
like getting
characteristics.
Stabbed. Yeah, getting stabbed, being in pain, and yelling, but not actually yelling.
Yeah.
He's a fun villain to stick along with.
Exactly. He's fun.
It's very weird to be very attached to a villain that you shouldn't be. How do I describe this? You shouldn't have any attachment to somebody who's going around killing people, but he's just such a fun personality to follow through every movie he's in.
Yeah.
Kills are very good. Obviously,
well,
there's not a lot of backstory or anything like that with him, such as some of the top tier ones, but super fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it. He's super fun. And like you said, he doesn't speak or anything, but he has a personality still, despite not speaking.
Yeah.
And that's something that's unique. Like you can't always give someone personality or spunk, like you said, without them talking. Like a lot of movies need them to have some dialogue, right? But in the case for Art the Clown, he doesn't need it, and he still has personality. He still has his own unique characteristics.
Yeah.
And that's what gives him a little bit of an edge. So 7 sips it is. Alrighty. And Event Horizon noted it was another one from his list. And yeah, those are the two that we realized were on your list was Dracula and Art the Clown.
Should we get to his other ones now, just so we don't forget? I'd really like to, actually.
Yeah, sure. And we can come back to our list. And like I said before, a lot of these we can do in another stream. Like we might include it officially in another stream, but we tried to limit it to around 50. Like I said, it might be plus or minus 5, but so let's pull up his list here and go through the ones we haven't considered. And a lot of these we might not have considered because we're not super familiar with, right?
Yeah.
So we'll take that into consideration. All right. His list: Leprechaun, Creeper, Collector, The Fisherman, The Blob, Dracula, Art the Clown, and Bagul. I'll tell you right now, and I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. I think the one villain that we didn't include on this list that I was thinking about for the last couple days was Bagul. I knew you were thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't propose that we add it is because looking at Bagul, to me, there's nothing special about him.
I like the whole concept of
Sinister.
Sinister.
Movie.
The movie itself, and
Yes.
especially like the cycle that it goes through. I find that super interesting. I find it intriguing.
Absolutely.
I'd argue almost flawless for Bagul.
Almost flawless.
I love, like, the first movie. I feel like is super well done.
Yes, the movie.
It's one of the best movies of the 2010s, easily.
But
in my opinion.
But Bagul as a villain, to me, is nothing that crazy. Like, he's not.
If you
that
take away
special.
all the shitty jump scares, but the way
I don't
that
care about the jump scares.
so
Him as a villain, he's nothing
what
that
Bagul
special
does,
to me.
Bagul possesses the children
Yeah.
to rinse and repeat a cycle of them killing their families and them moving into a new house, rinse, repeat. I feel like the cycle is very interesting. It comes from myth and lore.
But is that, is that the villain, or is that the,
It's the villain.
or is that just the movie's concept?
It's the villain.
I don't know. Like, he's not that hype for me. He's not that high. He's not almost flawless.
Plus the kills.
He looks like he's fucking from Slipknot. You gotta give him a bump down for that. He just looks like he's throwing Mick Thompson's mask, the guitar player for Slipknot. Let's be honest.
Plus the kills. The kills are creative as hell.
I'll give you that.
Didn't even discuss that.
I'll give you that.
Like, there's no way he's absolute perfection, but I think he's almost flawless.
He's not almost flawless.
There's a lot of tiny flaws, but
I want to say
pros
pretty
are-
damn cool.
the pros are very good.
I would say pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Okay. We don't.
Event Horizon says, I like how he kills, like possessing the children to murder their families in such crazy ways.
Yeah.
And that is a good point. In my opinion, those are his kills.
Yeah. Those are his kills.
And you're not wrong. Like, he does have a unique concept to him, but at the same time, I feel like he's not that. Just based on my viewing of the movies, he's not that special. Jana says, Sinister was one that actually made me afraid to walk around my house afterwards. Yeah. But again, that's taking the movie into consideration.
It left chills in people's
Sinister's
veins.
a fantastic movie. It's one of the greatest modern horror movies. Jana says, haha, Slipknot. She's laughing.
She said, ha ha ha, get it straight.
Ha ha ha, Slipknot, LMAO.
There you go.
Exactly. That's
Either way.
That drags it down a bit for me.
Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, so we talked about Bagul because that was one that I thought about for sure. But we just didn't ultimately include. We didn't decide where we would settle on it, but for Alex, it's almost flawless. For me, it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
So anyways, the other ones...
Leprechaun. Let's start with Leprechaun.
Yeah. I don't know. I do not know enough about Leprechaun to discuss.
Fair. That's fair.
And that's one of the main reasons.
But Leprechaun, it's unique in the sense that it's St. Patrick's Day themed. There isn't a lot of horror like that. So, in that sense...
There's a lot of sequels on them, too.
Oh, yeah. There's a
Very
full
unique,
franchise.
for sure.
And that's why I'm thinking pretty damn cool. If it was just one movie based on them, I'd say fairly basic.
Yeah.
But I think pretty damn cool. Personally.
Okay. Let's move on to next is Creeper. From Jeepers
Creepers. And this is someone we talked about including whether we should or not.
Yeah, we talked about including him or not, and the main reason I didn't want to include him is because The director basically was convicted of being pretty much a child pedophile, so I didn't want to bring acknowledgement his creation.
And that's fair. My argument was you gotta separate the art from the artist, that type of thing. But that being said, he's
like it's a good villain,
it
but like
is.
I didn't want to include him for the main fact that I didn't like the person who created him.
Yeah,
that's the main reason.
And I understand.
And
that
I feel
part
like
of
it
you.
would have been fine off the list. That's the main thing.
Yeah, but I totally get that point of view as well, because once you learn something about someone, it's hard to separate their work from them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing as I'll bring up Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people his music is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You can't argue that. You can't argue that he is a fantastic artist, fantastic dancer, fantastic performer, all of that. But at the same time, assuming you believe the things that came out about him,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to separate him from that.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea with the Jeepers Creepers director.
Mm-hmm.
And I get why you didn't want to include him. And yeah, I wasn't disappointed one way or the other if we included him or not. But let's talk about him as a villain, setting that aside.
I think he's pretty damn cool.
That's kind of where I fall too.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing super special, nothing it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's also unique enough that he's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. I saw the first movie, that's about it. That's Where I Lie.
Yeah, well, same with me. That's
Okay.
another factor that plays in was we haven't seen all the
entire
movies,
franchise.
the
I
entire
think there's
franchise.
3 now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even
There's
know.
at least,
That's
there's
the
at
other
least
thing.
2. I think there's 3.
There's definitely more than 2.
Move on to the next one, which
Collector.
is The Collector. Have you seen The Collector?
I haven't. The Collector, The Collection.
You haven't?
I want to see all of them.
Okay.
And I've heard great things. Janik says The Collector, so good. The Collection was a disappointment.
I like The Collector. The Collector was a great movie. Collection was... I'm pretty sure I've seen The Collection, but it's pretty good too. It's like Jigsaw, except a step below. With less motivation, all this.
So you think pretty damn cool?
I'd say pretty damn cool.
I can't.
It's pretty much in the same way where he... Think of it where he collects... So you're a you're a Pokemon trainer, but instead of Pokemon, you collect people. And then there's also a whole lot of saw traps thrown in there as well.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
this and that.
So
But either way,
I haven't seen, so I can't say.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty damn cool.
Pretty damn cool.
All right, moving on to. Oh, I took away his list. The Fisherman.
Have you seen The Fisherman? What it's based off of?
I don't know what The Fisherman is based
I do not
off
know
of.
what The Fisherman is based off of, so I cannot comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, same with me. I might know if you tell me what movie, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Blob.
I don't think I've seen The Blob, to be
I would
honest.
say
I know a lot about it, obviously,
Yeah.
because of social media.
The Blob, I would
Whatnot.
say, is pretty damn cool. Yeah, I'd say pretty
It's
damn
unique.
cool. It is unique. And that's what makes me almost flawless,
Mhm.
but it's nothing that stands out to me all that much. And that's why it kind of...
The Fisherman from...
Oh,
I know what you did last
summer.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I haven't... This is
I've
one that
seen them.
shocks me. I haven't seen I Know What You
Seen
Did
it either.
Last Summer.
To be fair,
It's shocking because I don't even know how I haven't seen it.
I've seen, I think, a few reviews on it and everything like that, but I don't think I've actually seen the movie either. And...
So we can't really talk about it.
Yeah, we can't really talk about it.
So, Dracula, Art the Clown, and Bagul we talked about.
Pretty much everything you can just shove in pretty damn cool.
Yeah, basically.
Which would just make the category bloated.
So I'm going to let you talk about the next one on our list while I go and take a piss.
Okay, sounds good.
Next one is Death from Final Destination.
He did click on it.
I did click on it. It's
Okay.
coming up.
So Death from Final Destination. The collector as a Pokemon trainer is a very fun concept, definitely. You catch a shiny bug type, catch a shiny human, who knows. Anyways, Death from Final Destination. I think that this is a really a neat concept to include, so I told Tucker that we should include this just because it's abstract for the most part. You don't ever see it, but you see it work. And for example, if we minimize this a little bit, we see all the deaths in Straight Up Lame, where it's just like shark attacks at the Blair Witch making somebody stare at a wall, or Toby from Paranormal Activity doing pretty much nothing and then breaking somebody's neck at the very end of the movie. I feel like this is so much better in the sense where the deaths are fantastic. And the deaths are fantastic in the way that you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's exactly what you think, or sometimes it's super obscure and you don't know what's going to happen. It is fun as hell. It's one of those movies that you watch for strictly the deaths. I'll say that much. And I don't think you can dock it points for being straight up lame in this. I want to say almost flawless. And I hate saying that for the main fact that we put other entities where we don't see the face or the name tag or anything like that in Straight Up Lame, but I think this is almost flawless for Death and Final Destination.
You're talking about Death and almost
and Final
flawless?
Destination, yes.
So, I don't know what you said, but this can almost be comparable to Toby from Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch Project, because you never get to see him, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But, I don't know if you made this point or not, it's so much more unique. You get to see some crazy kills.
Yes.
And that gives it a major upper hand over these ones.
It's the main reason you see the movie is for the killer.
Exactly. That's the main thing.
What are you thinking?
I want to say almost flawless.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay. And I'm perfectly content with that.
Yeah. Almost flawless.
So that's 7. We never got to take a drink for a while because we have been discussing outside of our list. But I'm going to take 7. Just got to fill up some drink. Yeah, almost flawless for Death because you get to see such creative kills.
Creative kills, that's the main reason you see the movie.
Well, exactly. You don't need to see the villain for them to be an effective villain. Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of...
And it's done so much better in Final Destination in comparison to Paranormal Activity, right?
Exactly. And we kind of maybe made the point earlier that the reason we ranked Toby so low is because we never got to see him. We only got to see him move shit around and stuff like that. But we weren't getting to the point that you need to see the villain for them to be good. Mm-hmm. And Death, like, Grim Reaper, that's who Death is.
Yeah.
That's just like an iconic villain.
There's a concept for it in the sense of pop culture, for instance. You see Death is just a guy who pretty much looks like Ghostface minus a knife plus a scythe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the typical depiction you get of him. Mm-hmm. I added the 7 to the tally already, but I need to take my 7.
I took my 7. Okay, you can talk about your last one, which is The Babadook.
Jana agreeing almost flawless for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like the movies, but a few scenes, like the one where the water magically disappears after killing, are weird.
Very first movie, though.
Yeah.
Experimental.
Still, even that aside, and that could be why it's not absolute perfection. Mm-hmm. It's a point against why. It has its flaws, without a doubt, but it's better than a lot of villains on this list for sure. All right, yeah, the Babadook. The Babadook is a modern villain.
Mm-hmm.
Where's this? There's this image. The Babadook. I don't even know what to say about the Babadook. It's such a outlier for me, but also not that special. And I want to say pretty damn cool.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We don't need to have much of a debate on it then.
No. We'll talk about a little bit of the Babadook and why
Yeah.
I think it's pretty damn cool. Just the concept of it basically being a manifestation of grief, I feel like is severely underdone. Is that the correct word for it?
In the genre as a whole, you mean?
In the genre as a whole.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
A manifestation of being...
I get that.
Whatever I said. But yeah.
But at the same time, like...
There's not a lot of backstory.
It doesn't stand out.
I like the book, 100%.
Yeah, the book.
Like, I could...
Which is
You can
partially
make
why it makes
yeah.
pretty damn cool.
You could make an argument for
I
almost
couldn't.
flawless.
I couldn't.
Some people could, and I might agree to it, but...
Yeah. But as a whole, to me, seeing all the horror movies and the horror villains that are on this list, there's no way I can put the Babadook with John Kramer and The Fly and Xenomorph and Jason and, everybody up in that list. I can't. It's hard.
A little bit.
It's hard for me to...
To be fair, no kills.
Yeah.
A dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
A dog.
That's part of it, but at the same time, like, you don't need kills to be a villain.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But the whole part where it tries to manipulate the mom, take over the mom, possess her.
Oh, yeah.
You can bring me the boy.
There's definitely cool things about it, which that lands in
that
pretty
makes
damn
it
cool.
pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's more than
Anyways.
cool. It's pretty damn cool.
It's pretty damn cool.
So we'll add 5. All right. The last one on our list.
One of my favorite movies
Angela from Sleepaway Camp.
from the 1980s slasher genre. Sleepaway Camp. It's an extremely fun movie. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
obviously knowing Friday the 13th and all these camp massacre movies,
Yeah.
it's really hard to place her.
I have an idea of where I want to place her.
Okay, I'm gonna say fairly basic.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay, cool. Angela, obviously the twist in the movie is she's a boy. Spoilers!
I mean, yeah.
But
If you're watching a 3-hour stream at this point and not expecting spoilers after talking about 40
horror villains,
after talking about 40 or more villains,
Yeah.
I think it's on you.
I
at
thought
that
we were
point.
saying fairly basic.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a dude at the end.
I misplaced her. I mean, there's no contention here. This is exactly where I was gonna rate her. So, I mean, Event Horizon, isn't it a dude in the end, or am I remembering wrong?
Sure is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fun movie though, for sure.
It's a fun movie, yeah, exactly. And that, I think,
The
being
sequel,
a dude at the end gives her a little bit of an edge, rather than being kind of boring. You know?
Yeah. Because honestly, it's a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
The fact that she doesn't talk at all throughout the whole movie, the outlier, the red herring,
Red herring, yeah.
that her brother was the murderer the whole time, was interesting. I'd love to see a sequel of this movie done in some regard. I feel like that would be super interesting, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially with like doing the same twist over again. I feel like that would be weird, especially since the whole audience knows what to expect going in.
Especially if you've seen the original,
Exactly.
yeah. But at the same time, they're remaking movies from the 80s nowadays, and it would bring in a new audience that hasn't seen the original, maybe.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. If you know what's going to happen, it takes a little bit of the stuff
They're making
away,
a Winnie the Pooh horror movie now.
I saw that.
Know what's going to happen.
I saw a lot of people talk about that, actually, and I'm pumped to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
It's completely out of the blue.
I like new ideas.
It's a...
Winnie the Pooh isn't a new idea, but horror Winnie the Pooh is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's unique. You know, you never really expected it. I wouldn't have expected it. It's a fucking Disney character.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, I would have never expected they'd make a horror movie out of it. But at the same time, I'm not surprised. Because it doesn't... Like, it just... It seems like it falls right into place for some reason. And I can't place why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Alright. So, that wraps up all the villains that we had. I don't know if we quite made it to 50. I think it's a few short. But, looking at absolute perfection, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in absolute perfection. If you had to choose one villain in that category, in that tier, who would you pick as your all-time favorite, untouchable by all other standards? Who do you think is number one in absolute perfection?
Very difficult question.
Very
I'm
difficult.
torn between two.
Okay.
I'm torn between Pennywise and the Thing.
Pennywise and the Thing.
Pennywise and the Thing. The shapeshift. I'll give it to Pennywise a little bit more because he's more than just a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
He can read into people's thoughts. And I love the concept of how only children encounter him because only children have enough of a creative imagination.
Yeah.
To basically say...
Feed off of.
Yeah, to feed off of. So, for example, children believe in things such as the Tooth Fairy, for example. Like, oh, the Tooth Fairy's magical. Tooth Fairy can defeat you. Things, stupid shit like that. Like, werewolves can... What's the word? Silver bullets kill werewolves, so who will say it won't kill Pennywise, for example? They believe that and actually works.
Yeah. And if Horizon agrees with you, I think
yeah.
I would pick Pennywise.
Pennywise. Absolute perfection.
Yeah, and I do agree that he's absolute perfection. After discussing it and all of everything, I would have, based on my initial judgment, I would have said almost flawless.
Yeah.
But you did convince me absolute perfection. But, that being said, I don't think I would pick him as my number one. Okay. The Thing is in contention for sure. Yeah. And that's one that was contentious for you.
That wasn't even Yeah, it's in contention for my top two.
Top two, yeah. Yeah. And as far as the villains on this upper tier go, like, as far as my favorite that I think is untouchable, can't be replicated, can't be, it can't be reproduced in any way. I gotta give it to the Thing. Okay. I don't even have a top two that are divisive. I'm giving it to the Thing. I feel like Pennywise, the only reason that he has a lower spot than the Thing is because he has the clown part, which clowns are done in horror quite a bit. We even have another clown on here with Art the Clown. Obviously, he has powers and other abilities that make him absolute perfection, but the only thing is the Thing doesn't have something that can be compared to in other tiers. Fair. That's my point.
My idea is who started the argument for absolute perfection in clowns, especially. Yeah. There was more clowns before Pennywise, we'll say that much. Oh, yeah. But I feel like Pennywise perfected it in such a way that it will never be replicated.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's why, deservedly so, he's in absolute perfection. Yeah. But for me, I think I got to give it to the Thing more than Pennywise.
One of the top horror movies of all time for a reason.
Exactly. And even all the movies that are in this top tier, like, they're all iconic. And not one of them is a villain that we didn't expect to be up in the top tiers.
You disagreed with Leatherface a little bit.
I did, but you convinced me.
Yeah.
Because you had convinced me on the skinning. He had a unique backstory with his family convincing him, and I did bring that up.
It's just the typical backstory of a lot of. You thought of Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, and kind of compared him with those. I feel like that.
Yeah.
You thought of that a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Janice says, I'm getting more convinced by Pennywise, but I adore Freddy Krueger and The Thing. Mm-hmm. And that's just
Freddy Krueger, especially with dreams and everything like that.
Exactly. Nobody's replicated dream horror like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
With Freddy Krueger, he's super unique in that sense. Like, it's obviously been done, but it's not done to as high of a standard.
Definitely.
And The Thing, of course, we've talked about The Thing and what we think. So, as far as straight up lame, now let's talk about that. What do you think is the lamest of the lame?
Blair Witch, probably.
That's what you think?
That's what I think.
So, I'm not going to say Bruce, because I think I could make an argument for Bruce being kind of boring.
Okay.
One tier higher.
Mm-hmm.
But between Toby and the Blair Witch, I'm saying Toby's lamer because it copied the Blair Witch.
Okay, that's fair.
my point.
That is fair.
Toby's made a little bit more of appearance than Blair Witch. Look at here. There's this. Oh. Okay, well, he's got a shadow going on.
If you can see it.
Here, I got it. I got this.
There you go. There we go.
There, he's got a little bit of shadow. I can kind of see him there. Look at. There's Toby.
Where's the Blair Witch shadow?
There's Toby. That's exactly my point.
Footage not found. See, a little bit of a shadow is better than absolutely nothing.
But at least the Blair Witch was willing to just be like, okay, I don't have much of an idea of what this witch will look like, so I am just not going to put the witch in there. Sometimes mystery and not seeing the villain is a good thing, and it works in their favor.
That is fair, such as death.
Exactly, such as death with Final Destination.
Yeah.
But with Toby, I think it was too much of a ripoff from Blair Witch to call it worse than the Blair Witch.
Okay.
Or I would call it worse than the Blair Witch, I mean.
Yeah.
In terms of villains.
You have an argument, but I disagree.
Yeah, and that's fair. Event Horizon says, I think I like Toby more, even if he is the copy, he does more. And that's your point of view. Janice says, Blair Witch is the worst in my book. Paranormal Activity kept me more engaged.
Oh, definitely.
I do agree in terms of how the movie progressed and how the movie kept me more engaged.
Like, Tucker liked Paranormal Activity more than Blair Witch easily.
Yes, I did. But in terms of villains...
Worse in my book of shadows.
Yeah. I gotta give it the worst villain of the two. I'm just gonna say Toby because it's more of a ripoff, and that's just my point of view. I totally understand where you're coming from if that isn't what you think, but that's just me.
Alrighty.
If there was one villain in this list that you think is in a lower spot than it deserves to be,
in a lower spot.
So let's say you thought that Bruce was supposed to be almost flawless. Just as an example.
Oh.
Which one do you think should be higher? Without a doubt, or almost absolute perfection. Who do you think?
So, for example, like, obviously I said Ghostface and Michael Myers should be a lot higher.
You did, for sure. You said, you were arguing Michael Myers was absolute perfection,
I think. And the same with Ghostface.
Yeah. And Ghostface would, for me, be more likely to be up there than Michael Myers. But we ultimately came to pretty damn cool for Michael Myers because ultimately, when you boil it down, he's just a killer with a knife with a mask.
I've got to pee.
Okay.
Continue talking.
As for one that I think should be absolute perfection rather than where it is. Absolute perfection. That's absolute perfection. Xenomorph, maybe. Or Jason Voorhees. Xenomorph, I think, is what I would put to absolute perfection if I had to choose. Because it's so unique. There's nothing else like that on this list. And, you know, it's such a cool villain. Alien, the Alien franchise is iconic. Rightfully so. It's just very unique. Event Horizon, I would have put Samara one higher, I think. Samara we had at pretty damn cool, almost flawless. Yeah. And I think that's what Alex wanted. I think Alex wanted Samara to be almost flawless. I brought that down a tier, I think. And he won me over with the whole concept of her as a villain, which made me think she was pretty damn cool. But overall, I weighed him down for that. That's what happened. Jana, I wasn't here for Jigsaw, but I think the case could be made for bumping him up. Yeah, we did make that case for bumping him up to absolute perfection, but the main thing that kept him down to almost flawless, Jigsaw versus Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter, they're both intellectuals, and they're both super smart in different ways. They both go about their victims in different ways. But we felt Hannibal Lecter was just a tier higher than John Kramer, and that's why we put John Kramer below.
As for rearranging things, I would say definitely John Kramer and Xenomorph could have been like absolute perfection in comparison. I'd put probably Xenomorph. Xenomorph or John Kramer higher? Either one.
I'd put Xenomorph higher because Xenomorph is a more unique a villain in my eyes.
Yeah. What were the other ones you said? I wasn't really listening, to be honest.
Event Horizon says you put Samara one higher.
Samara I liked and almost flawless as well.
Yeah, and and I was saying that's how I weighed you down a little bit on that. But you did convince me to put it higher than I wanted. Yeah. So I did make that concession. He also says Kyoko to pretty damn cool. And I could make that argument too, rather than fairly basic.
Really.
The only thing is if Samara is almost flawless, then I could put Kyoko in pretty damn cool. Like, I think it should be one lower than Samara. That's my view, and that's why I think fairly basic fit with her.
So Event Horizon says, my big flaw with Jigsaw, how stupid his method of picking his victims are.
Yeah.
Smoker, you die.
Exactly.
However, the thing that we didn't discuss with Jigsaw is how cool the deaths are.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we didn't do. And we didn't start doing that towards like the middle of the live stream here.
I mean, I was trying to consider it, but at the same time, Event Horizon did make that point of how stupid his victim picking was. And that is a huge flaw that you can't oversee.
Yeah. So
to call him perfect in that regard, to me, is a little bit of a reach.
But in a sociopath's mind.
Yeah, no, of course, you can make an argument. But for me, I just couldn't get past that barrier. Yeah. That's my point.
In conclusion, I'm still very happy with the tier list we put together for the most part.
Yeah, we came across some... Like, we balanced it out well enough between the both of us.
Definitely.
Pretty damn cool and fairly basic, and even almost flawless filled up quite a bit. Yeah. Especially pretty damn cool.
Pretty damn cool almost flawless towards the end for sure.
Yeah, there's quite a few that popped up there. But
I don't even think I'd still say fairly basic. I don't think I'd really change anyone. Like, I wouldn't move it up a tier, really, in comparison to all the other ones.
Yeah, fairly basic. Yeah, I'm not mad about anybody that's in fairly basic. Like, of course, there's movies. So, for example, Psycho. Let's say Norman Bates with Psycho. I like Psycho a lot more than I like Pumpkinhead.
Okay.
But in terms of how I view them as villains, they're kind of on the same level. You know what I mean?
Well, I like Insidious a lot more than I like Predator, but I feel like the Bride and Black's a lot worse than Predator.
In terms of what they are as a villain. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. Some villains are cooler and they have shitty movies, and vice versa. Some movies are great, but they just have kind of basic villains, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, it's just the way that we looked at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Event Horizon, referring to Jigsaw, if he only picks child molesters, etc., he would be the GOAT for me.
Oh, the fact.
Yeah.
I don't think there was. There was a fat guy who molested people in real life.
Sexually assaulted.
Yeah, sexually assaulted people in real life. And Saw 4 who got the Red Room. Red Room bedroom.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got what was coming to him for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If more people were like that, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Event Horizon brought that point up earlier on, is his victims is his downfall. A lot of the choices he made.
Yeah.
Janice saying this was so fun, thank you. And thank
you for sticking around.
Sticking around.
That's an old show.
That's a great show. If anyone knows Sticking Around, they had a great childhood. But yeah, I think
that's it.
I think that's it. If anybody has, like, do you guys want to see us do this again with 50 different villains? Or, you know, we can pull a lot of villains out of the stratosphere. You know, there's a lot of
villains. Even we could do protagonists. Horror protagonists would be fantastic.
Actually,
too.
I would really like to see protagonists, and like even
like
just
Ash from Evil Dead, Laurie Strode.
Even reducing it to Final Girls.
Final Girls would be good too.
That'd be good. So let us know if you have any suggestions on what you want us to see next. Our next live stream will be sometime in the next couple weeks, I imagine. You know, we want to try and stick to one live stream a month.
Yeah, that's generally the goal.
That's what we would like to do, and who knows, maybe we eventually do more.
Mm-hmm.
Might end up getting there. Like, who knows? It's really up to the viewers and what they want to see and what they like to see. So, yeah. Follow us on, obviously subscribe to our channel if you want to stay most up to date with our content and see what we have to offer. Follow us on Instagram.
Instagram's the easiest place to reach us, I'd say.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to us directly, like DM us on Instagram, and that's the quickest way you'll get a response, or just comment on a video. Honestly, that's another way we'll be definitely looking at all that. We love interacting with the people that watch us and want to get closer to everybody in the horror community. So what do we got here? If you can come up with 50 more villains, Event Horizon wants to see it. I'm sure we could. He also says protagonist is a good idea. I think that's
protagonist
something we can look at.
A fun one for sure, I think.
Yeah. Robin, thanks guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you for watching.
But Diana says both sound good. Either 50 more villains
protagonists or villains. Yeah.
Protagonists or villains, definitely.
I think we can switch it up and do protagonists.
That would be a lot easier than 50 more villains.
It'd be pretty easy.
We picked the, I'd say top 50
we picked
already.
A lot of more iconic ones, but
Yeah.
it'd be easy to come up with 50 more villains.
Mm-hmm.
But we could also do a tournament style with protagonists like we have done with villains.
Yeah.
You know, Laurie Strode versus
Aaron from
You're Next.
You're Next, that's the one.
Yeah, thank you for helping me out there. But, you know, pitting them up against each other would be fun. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, we are going to say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I guess, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. This is us saying cheers to fears.